podcast for projectfandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are back to kick off a brand new show. A show that I am so excited about because we were owed this, I think. Particularly you and I.
Oh, yeah.
More than anybody. I don't know another person who was as devastated by the goings-on in that last season of Game of Thrones than you. Like, it was me and you. Everybody else was trying to explain shit to us. Right. Make excuses.
It wasn't that bad.
It was terrible. But we were owed this, and it's dragons. And you know I love me some dragons. And it's, you know, it's our shit. It's this, we like these types of stories. So we are covering House of the Dragon. Now, correct me. It is House of the Dragon, right? Not the House of the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
I think so.
Okay. But we call it Hot D, so I guess that really don't matter. So I'm very excited to talk with you for the next 10 weeks about Hot D. And I'm extra excited because it was actually good, this first episode that we're going to be talking about.
It really was.
What was it called? Heirs of the Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Heirs of the Dragon. Did you notice that they didn't tell us the title, I think, till after the episode?
Yes.
Those bastards.
Yeah, it was just episode 1.
Yeah. And then afterwards, there were people calling it Heirs of the Dragon. And I was like, where'd that come from? That's a great title.
Right. Right. I was like, is that the chapter in the book or...
So now I'm gonna explain how the podcast is gonna go, and then we'll talk a little brief Westerosi Targaryen history, and then we'll dive into, you know, our overall thoughts and talking about the episode, and we'll end it with the feedback, of which we have several. We're not doing a spoiler section because I have not read the book upon which this show is based. You have, right?
Yes.
Look at you. And this book, okay, but wait. So let me do the, I'll do the Westerosi part, and then we'll talk about the Targaryen part, which covers like when the book was published and all of that. Because I gotta give you some shit for that, for reading that book.
I audibled it. Does that make it better?
I don't know. That's a little too forgiving of George R. Martin and his slow ass. I just refuse to read anything he puts out before that book. That's all I'm saying.
I put it off until they greenlit this show. And then I was like,
Smart.
Well, all right.
Okay,
you know.
Fine, I guess. Okay, so if you don't remember, those of you who watch Game of Thrones, first to be said that House of the Dragon is a prequel series, so the events in this TV show take place before the events of Game of Thrones, exactly 172 years before the birth of Daenerys Targaryen, which they put in the opening of this show, and that just was like a kick in my gut. I was like, oh, my girl, they did her so dirty. But if you don't remember kind of the geography of everything, you have Westeros is this continent, I guess, to the west of the Narrow Sea, and then Essos, right? So the Narrow Sea separates these two continents, and the capital of Essos was Valyria, right? And that's where the Targaryens used to hang out. Is that right? Sarah's going to correct me if I get this shit wrong.
I believe...
Right?
So...
And then one of the Targaryens had these motherfuckers in their dreams. He had a dream that Valyria was going to get fucked up, and everybody laughed at the Targaryens, and they were like, we're taking our dragons and we're leaving. And they went over... It
was actually Daenerys the Dreamer. So she was also a Daenerys.
Oh. Yep. So Daenerys the Dreamer was like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And the other... the rest of Valyria was like, you're crazy. So they took their dragons, the Targaryens left, and that's when they landed in Westeros at Dragonstone, right?
Right.
Okay. And Valyria did fall. Now, it's interesting because I thought the doom of Valyria, I thought it was like not really known what happened. Like, what happened. But in this episode, Viserys says, when they're looking at Valerion's, is that how it's named? The big dragon skull.
Mm-hmm.
And he said this was the last living creature to, like, lay eyes on Valeria, like, as it was, and then over its doom. And when he talks about, you know, we should have never harnessed this power, it brought about the doom of Valeria, and it'll bring about the doom of Westeros if we're not careful. I was like, what does that mean exactly? Because I thought what happened to Valeria was kind of a mystery. Or am I wrong?
It is. There are some theories, and that was definitely the prevailing theory, that, you know, they were messing with the dragon magic and blood magic, and that it destabilized the land. And I think that was like the prevailing theory. And, you know, given George's involvement in the show, I think this is putting a thumb on the scale of that being the theory.
Right. And it seems that, I think it was Ryan who mentioned that George R. R. Martin never really either liked or understood, or both, why the Double Ds wouldn't lean into the whole prophecy stuff.
Right.
And I was kind of shocked at the end of this episode when Viserys was like, okay, there's something else I gotta tell you. And I really thought he was gonna be like, I'm gonna marry your bestie or something. I was so nervous. But when he said the prophecy, I was like, oh, we already know that. But I realized she didn't, you know? And I was like, and I was like, honestly, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
they never make it past Westeros this great long night.
Right, as it turns out.
Right, it wasn't
they
that
handle
big of a deal.
it.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
But I think the Double Ds, you know, were pretty well. They were very clear that they kind of wanted to de-magic and mystify, you know, Game of Thrones as much as possible, which really sucks when you're in high fantasy.
Right.
And they did do some stuff, of
Right.
course, you know, like the vagina smoke baby or whatever.
And Daenerys in the fire several times.
Yes, and the baby, you know, and all that kind of thing. But they, you know, they definitely dialed down the magic whenever they could. And this, you know, the dreams, we all were really, you know, kind of bereft about the lack of wolf dreams and dragon dreams and all this stuff, and how they're bringing it back. So,
but they kept all that damn Worgen brand magic to make him the motherfucking. Let me stop. See, I'm getting mad again. Okay, so they landed in Dragonstone. Now, before I go, what the Targaryens did next, Westeros was. Now, were the Children of the Forest all over Westeros, and then they chose to, like, we'll just chill? But when they came with the truce between them and the First Men, the Andals, did they? Mm-hmm. And then they were like, okay, build the wall, and then we're going to stay on this side of the wall. Did they give up all of Westeros, or were they already primarily in the northern region of the continent?
Yeah, I think they had kind of like drifted up that way, and they were starting to kind of, you know, with the warging and the singers, the green seers and all that kind of stuff with Bran's theory. A lot of them had kind of, it's almost like the elves in Lord of the Rings, where they had kind of started to pass on into the next, you know, form. So they had like kind of let go of their physical forms, and they were floating through the weirwood network and in the birds and all that kind of stuff. So,
okay. So they were just there minding their business, warging and shit, and then the Andal showed up, these white men. And these are Jorah's people, right? Like, he's a descendant of those people. No?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
The First Men.
Right, the First Men, that's right. So, because they called him Jorah the Andal. Wasn't that
exactly.
one of the things?
Yeah.
Okay. So
old white blood.
Yes. That old money. That old white money. So so they came over, and of course they fought, because as white men want to colonize, they just don't care about what they're taking over. And they fought for a long time, and then finally they came to that agreement where they built the wall, and they were like, we're going to stay over here with the wildlings and mind our business, and you guys stay over here. And they, at some point, the Children of the Forest fucked around and found out and made the White Walkers. Right? Okay. And then the Andals, they spread out and made the Seven Kingdoms, although I don't know if it was seven right away, right?
Right.
Okay, but they started colonizing. And the religions
as they
do, and the religions are different, right? So the children of the forest, and then the people of the north, like the Stark folks, they still do the werewood, right? Like
right,
okay.
The old gods,
right? And the new gods are the 7 gods, right?
Right,
the maiden, the crone, and all that stuff. And so they had their little 7 kingdoms, and then the Targaryens at Dragonstone, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't take over like right away, right? Like
correct. So they were there for some time. Yeah.
And then Aegon, who was I saying, who was married to his 2 sisters, they went flying around and was like, oh shit, we should command all of this shit. So they basically made everyone bend the knee except the North. Did they? But did the Starks or the North bend the knee to Aegon?
They came to an understanding.
That's what I thought, because I feel like I felt like they didn't, but also they were just left to chill, so that didn't sound right either. It was like, you know.
They did, and yet they were kind of left on their own, because like they didn't like to go up there, the Targaryens, and then Dorne never fully came under the umbrella until much later. Right.
Okay, so when Aegon did that, and then the Targaryens then ruled the 7 kingdoms until this is where we start getting into what the book covers. So in 2018, George R. R. Martin released Fire and Blood, and it's like the history of the Targaryens, basically. And correct me if I'm wrong, I read this like days ago in my brain. I'm not even high, you guys. I'm just tired. It's just hot. He is 2 volumes, but this Fire and Blood is the first that he released in 2018. And this show begins at the halfway point of the first volume. Right. So there is stuff in the first volume that, which I'm going to assume, because this show begins with Jaehaerys, is that his name? Being ill and old and his line of succession being questioned because his 2 sons are dead. This show begins at that point. So that's like the halfway point of the book. So I'm assuming that all of that shit with Aegon and his sisters and coming from Valyria, like those are the stories that are the first half of this book.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, Jaehaerys was the 4th Targaryen king. So you've got Aegon and his sisters, Aenys the first, Maegor, and then comes Jaehaerys, and he was king for 64 years. So
and it was prosperous and peaceful during that time. Okay.
Yeah. So all that stuff is, it's nice to know, but really this is where
the
all
good stuff starts happening.
Really starts happening. Yeah.
Yes. So you said the name Maegor. That was the king before Jaehaerys, but now picking up, where the beginning of the show, and first we're going to give our overall thoughts before we talk about the scenes, but the first scene is kind of setting like where we are and why we are here. And so you mentioned that name Maegor, and they mention it later in the show, and they were talking about like how Daemon could be another Maegor,
right?
Who I'm assuming was kind of like a bad king, like the last Targaryen king,
as Maegor the Cruel. So.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So Jaehaerys had 2 sons that both died, and this is what. And then he was getting older, and his health was ailing, and this was cause real. Okay, we gotta know who you're gonna name as your heir now, because as you can see, when that shit is in doubt and the king dies, as we see with the beginning of Game of Thrones, shit happens, bad things happen, and so his son, one of his sons also named Maegor?
No,
or is it's similar, right? It's like
It was Aemon and Balon.
Oh, okay. Why did I think one of those was Rhaenys' father? And I thought it started with
Aemon,
an M, but I got
Aemon
the name wrong.
Was her father.
Okay,
yeah.
so Aemon. Was Aemon also the name of the old dude at the...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking... The Night's Watch.
Right. Yeah, he was like Aemon the 2nd or 3rd.
Ah, okay.
So they reuse names
I was just
constantly.
about to say, these people, I wish they would just stop. And then they all sound alike. It's so confusing. Okay. So, so as his health is ailing, he calls on his old council to Old Council? No, that's not what they call it. Great Council. No, wait. What's it called? Great Council. Yes. I was thinking of old. Council. I was thinking of Old Town. Okay. And they're. I think they said like over a dozen claims came in, and there was only 2 that were seriously considered, and so that is Rhaenys, who is the daughter of Jaehaerys' oldest dead son, and then her cousin Viserys, right?
Right.
So who is Viserys' parents?
Viserys' parents are Balon, who is Jaehaerys' second son, and also Jaehaerys' daughter, Alyssa. So they are Jaehaerys, not Jaehaerys. Well, Jaehaerys married his sister, Alysanne.
Okay.
And then Balon, their second son, married Alyssa, his sister. And so he had Viserys and Daemon, and then a baby that died. So Daemon, the younger guy, is the brother.
Okay. So this is why these babies keep having trouble just making it, because these people are not smart. They keep
right.
Jesus Christ.
Their family tree is just a long line across the page. Yeah.
It's the number 8. It's just all over the place. So that's where the series picks up. 172 years before the birth of Daenerys Targaryen. What did you think? Overall thoughts?
I just was so happy with the whole thing. It was just so well done. I appreciated, like, sometimes when you go back in time, you're like, well, this needs to feel more like the past, than the past, which was Game of Thrones. But because, like, the Red Keep is basically brand new, so it looks nicer and newer, and I thought, I thought that the effects were incredible. I thought the casting was great.
Same.
I just, like, the costuming was so good, and it just, like, I mean, there were definitely some wild points in this episode where you're like, wow, this is so gratuitous, but then it's like, but this is Westeros, you know, it just felt like being home in this crazy world, and
this
so happy.
Violent, crazy world that we love.
Yes.
And so I just want to, I asked Dany, because he's home, he was off yesterday and today, and I asked him, because he's not working tonight, he's been up, and usually he's like sleeping during the day. And I said, do you want to record with me and Sarah? Because, like, this whole time, I didn't even, like, talk to or invite him and John. It's just like, I want to talk to my girl, Sarah, about all things Game of Thrones. But because he was home and we both liked the episode, I was like, do you want to join me and Sarah? And he's like, no, you guys go ahead. You don't need a man's opinion. And I was like, God damn, that's the smartest thing you've ever said in your entire life.
Perfect answer.
Perfect answer, right? But, but I do want to say it is going to be very, I think, refreshing for me to, first of all, I always love talking to you, and I love covering shows with you, and so I'm happy, but I do think because we're women, it's going to be a different opinion on certain stuff.
Yes.
And I think this is, like, I'm trying to figure the right way to say this. So the forced cesarean scene,
right?
It bothered me in the way that I think it should have bothered everyone, right? Like,
yes,
just a normal functioning human being, that should bother you. And then it also bothered me on a different level, considering where we are in this country with reproductive rights for people, and specifically women. And so that was extra. It's just like, oh,
yes,
this is too soon,
right.
But it did not bother me that they did it.
Right.
I understand. I understand if it bothers people that they did it. I understand being bothered by it to a point. And so I want to be really clear. Like, I don't want to dismiss someone else's feelings on it, especially another woman who just feels like, nope, nope, absolutely no excuse. You never should, never, ever, ever, ever. There's no reason to do this. But the argument has been that I've been seeing, this place is fake and there's dragons. So if you can make that up, why not change this?
Right.
And I get that, yes, but it's like that's clearly not the story they're trying to tell. Like, they're trying to make a point that this is what it was like for women, and this is this is, I think, and again, because I haven't read it, so I don't know, I feel like this decision, we're going to see how this affects this man. And of course, that's just so gross because, you know, there's a problem with harming women on film to push the narrative of this man. But I also think that don't watch this show if that's going to bother you that much.
100%.
You know, and I don't mean that in like a nasty flippant way. I really don't. It's just they told you who they are, so you have to believe them. And like, right. So I understand that they said they're cutting back, or that there are no, like, apparently there's no rape, so that's lovely. Thank you for that. You know, the bar is low, right. But I did notice, you know, there's a lot of fucking that we ain't need to see. And to me, that's like a personal choice, right?
Yes.
Like this, like I didn't understand why. I was fine with the, well, if that look on his face was bugging the shit out of me. But Daemon having sex with the girl, that was like, okay, this is Game of Thrones. But I get where, you know, we'll talk about it. But like the scene later when, I think it's after they die, right? The queen and the baby, and he's in the bar or brothel, whatever. And there's just all this fucking going on. And I'm like, that's unnecessary.
Right.
You want to show that. We can understand that there's debauchery and fucking and drinking and, you know, celebrating going on during a time when something really fucked up happened, without showing, you know, someone riding this guy, you know, reverse cowgirl. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I say all that to say that I do think some of the criticism is fair, and you know, that was to me gratuitous, and it didn't bother me because I'm just right. Like, you know, I guess maybe I am desensitized to it, but I understand that it's not necessary. But the cesarean thing, I felt, the forced cesarean, it felt to me uncomfortable and horrible in the ways that it should, but I wasn't bothered that they did it. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, personally, you know, I had an emergency C-section, and it was terrible, and I had a horrible labor experience, and I mean, it definitely occurred to me at the time I was in labor that if it hadn't been for modern medicine, I probably would have died. And, you know, so seeing this, personally, I certainly had strong feelings about it, and it kept me up half the night, you know, the first night, those feelings of stress. Right. But as far as a TV show goes, I think it was appropriate because we're, you know, she makes a point that, especially in this time, that queens are essentially incubators, right. And their job is, in fact, to provide heirs. That is their job.
Right. And
she had already run out of steam, and they're desperate, and it's, I don't think that it was I didn't feel at all like it was dismissing her, like, as a person and her experience. Right. I think we definitely sympathized with her in every way. And it's also saying something about the kings, the monarchy, but this man specifically, in that Viserys, as a man, as a king, has difficult life and death decisions that he comes up to time and again, and is cornered and makes decisions, for better or for worse, but refuses to have hard conversations about them.
Yep.
To the point that he essentially murders his wife because he won't give her a chance,
a choice
to have a word.
Mm-hmm.
And as that person, on the birthing bed, you would know that it was over. You know, like if he had said, "We're going to have to talk,"
right?
You would know that's it.
And
the baby's not coming out.
And that's what Dany and I were saying, that it's that no one did this to her, in the sense that the baby was breached. This is a horrible, unfortunate situation, but like the maester, I think, like presented it to the king, and then a decision was made. She wasn't even informed, and I don't know any pregnant person in labor who would have been told, this is a situation we're in. There's this is what will happen if we do nothing. This is what might happen if we try this thing. And this is what will definitely happen if we try this thing. I don't know one pregnant person that would have said, fuck this baby and fuck us both. We're just going to die here together.
Just let me go down.
Right.
Yeah.
They would have, and then she would have had the opportunity for it to be her, the one to make the decision, and to possibly say goodbye to her daughter. I mean, it was just
to be heroic.
Right. And I really do feel like that was like the point of that. And
exactly
the fact that they showed it juxtaposed against the jousting, when she had earlier said that the birthing bed is their battlefield, I thought made sense. So it didn't bother me. Okay.
Yes.
I agree with you. I loved it. I loved it more than I thought that I would. Again, I was already excited after seeing, just the thought, the more things I was hearing about it, the casting. Obviously, I love Matt Smith. That's my doctor. And the more they were like, we were going to have, I forgot what the number is now, like 9 dragons with distinct it may be more than that, with very distinct personalities, and I'm like, oh yeah, give me all the dragons. Right. So, but yeah, it exceeded my expectations. I liked it just way more than I thought that I would, and for all the reasons you said. The costuming was gorgeous. The dialogue, some of it was excellent. The acting, and I'm so excited to be watching something set in this universe, and I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I mean, of course, I know how this ultimately all ends, with Daenerys, but this is so interesting to me. I've said this plenty of times on the podcast, but if you can make me interested in a story that I know how it ends, that's great to me, and they hooked me in this. Like, I care about, some of these characters already. And, and I know what happens to their descendants 172 years from now, but it doesn't matter because I'm already invested in seeing what happens to them. So, okay. So the year is, when he was ill, when Jaehaerys was ill, it was the year 101 is what, it turns out. It's an adult Rhaenys. Oh my God.
Right. It's Rhaenys. Yeah.
No. The young one. Oh my God. The one who is crowned at the end, who's named the heir at the end. That's Rhaenyra, right?
That's Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. Yeah. Okay. So it's an adult, her narrating this is what I was trying to say, I think. Right? Because I
think that's what we're supposed to believe. Yeah.
Right. Because she says the choices were between Rhaenys and Viserys, my father. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that that's who the wife was pregnant with at the time that he was named the heir, right?
I think it is not her. I think it's one of the many babies that didn't live.
That's
because she was born. He's only been, by the time we come into the story, he's only been king a few years.
9 years, and she's how old? Is she supposed to be a teenager or an adult? I couldn't tell.
She's supposed to be 14 or 15.
Wow.
Now in the book, just to clarify, they've really changed a lot of the ages.
Okay.
So they've aged people up by just a little bit. Like she would have been 8 when the story opens, which would be really creepy for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
So if you saw the little girl on the stand, that is Corlys and Rhaenys' daughter.
Yeah.
She and Rhaenyra are the same age technically.
And the books got it.
In
so
the
yeah,
book,
that girl was
yeah.
super young. They show her
Little
a couple
girls.
of times. The little girl,
Right.
You're talking about the black girl with the long white curly hair.
Exactly.
Watching the jousting. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
young.
It would be different, and Viserys would be in his 20s. So so they've aged him up quite a bit, and his queen. So she died at 23. So like,
I like this better though.
Yeah, and Jaehaerys was only like 56, so or not. No, that's not right. But sorry, I'm thinking of somebody else.
That's
fine. But yeah, the people are all like aged way up, and so I think it's obviously so that some of the younger players can get involved without it getting creepy in a pedophilia way, as we've run into with aging people up in the previous show.
Yeah.
But it's still is creepy from power dynamics way, and obviously intermarriage. But
when I had a thought, lost it, and just got it again. I'm glad you said that about the aging up, because I forgot to mention, this is something I don't think I knew about this show until like last week. I didn't get this detail of it, that this is 10 episodes, and I think the first 5 episodes is the actress playing Rhaenyra, right? Like, I forget her name. I forget
Millie Alcock, I think.
Thank you. And then 6 through 10, it's a new actress, an older actress.
Yeah, they jump forward.
They age up her and Alicent, right? I think those are the only 2 that age up. Everybody else will be the same, I think.
Right, everybody else, they'll just... Yeah, I'm dragon lords, so they don't age like everybody else.
Right. Okay, so the year 101, when Jaehaerys names Viserys his heir, and then 1 year, at the 9th year of his reign is when, like you said, the show begins proper, and we see Rhaenyra for the first time flying into King's Landing on Syrax. That's her dragon. Oh my god. Okay, claiming this is my favorite dragon so far because it's so pretty.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she
is so beautiful.
That golden color, right?
Yes.
So pretty. With her little horns.
Yes, I knew that it was going to open on a dragon, but I didn't expect to immediately know the dragon, appeal the dragon. I felt like I could tell that it was a younger dragon, the scale felt accurate, because Syrax is only a few years old, at this point, and how distinct it was and its little personality, and
it made sense too that you could feel the youngness of it because of her, if that makes sense. The way she returned it to the dragon pit reminds me of how many times have we watched a show where a little white girl comes bringing her horse back to the stable, and you get, this is her first horse. And knowing what we know of the Targaryens, or I guess I don't know if I know this, but I'm just assuming, it just made sense. I bet at a certain age they get a dragon egg, right? And then it's you just can't wait to be old enough to ride my dragon. So I kind of pictured her kind of growing up with this dragon the way kids grow up with their puppies, or a little girl may grow up with her pony.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you kind of felt that when she gets off, and then it's Alicent, who is the daughter of Otto Hightower. Is that his first name? Alicent is, what is she to her? Her handmaiden? I don't know what the kind of what Shay was to Sansa when Sansa was living at the castle, right?
Right, like a lady's maid. So she's she's an official companion.
She's she's your royal bestie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a friendship, but also kind of a job.
Right. Now, is it gay? Because it felt a little gay.
I think it's supposed to be a little gay.
Okay, because I was about to say, I know you can't tell me certain things, but I was like, this feels a little gay. And interestingly enough, it didn't feel gay until the second time I watched it. I don't know, maybe I was paying attention more, but like the whole thing with her, commenting on how big he's getting, Alicent does, saying he's almost as big as, I think this is Daemon's dragon, Syraxis. And Caraxes, thank you. And she's almost big enough for like a harness or a saddle for two. And Alicent's like,
Right. She's like, not for me.
They don't pay me enough for this. But then when she looked at her after she goes back into, when she turns and goes into carriage, the way Rhaenyra looked at her, I thought, oh, okay. I don't know if that's okay. But okay. We also see I don't think I ever got his name. I just know him as the guy from not Highlander. Oh my God.
Right.
Outlander.
Yeah. So that's Harold Westerling, and he's the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Westerling. Okay, I'm writing that down. Now, why do I know Westerling? Have we heard that name in the other show?
Yeah. The Westerlings are, they're out there.
Okay. I feel like I've heard that name, like a particular... And
Jane,
I feel like
Jane
a
Westerling,
woman.
probably.
Yes. What was the thing with Jane? Who was she supposed to be?
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. but Jane Westerling is a thing.
I want to say she was Sansa's bestie.
I think so. That sounds right. Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so when I want to talk more about the dragon coming in, we get our first look at, King's Landing, and it looked different. It looked better, if that makes sense. Fresher, yes. Mm-hmm. And you see that in the people, like, the people walking around seemed happy. When we first get, like, our first glance at the dragon pit, like, they show it briefly and then it cuts back to the dragon. I saw that dome top, and at first I was like, is that the sept that Cersei blew up? And then they showed it again, and I was like, oh, no. And then it hit me where we were going, and I don't know if Dany ever got what I was talking about, but I was like, I think this is where, in the final season, this is where Daenerys met Cersei. And Daenerys showed up on her dragon. Yeah. She made her little entrance. So, but of course, then it didn't have a roof, and it was all destroyed.
Right.
If you don't get out of here, sorry.
The beginnings of the dragon pit or whatever.
So even we watch them walk to the castle. I love this. Again, being back in this place and seeing. At one point, they walked through that room that Cersei had that map painted on the floor.
Yes.
And everybody's so happy. I was like, oh, this is back in better times.
Right. They're still riding the high from Jaehaerys' reign, I think.
Yeah. Her mother is Emma, right? Emma? Mm-hmm. And what's her last name?
So, Emma was an Aaron.
That's what I thought.
Her mother was Daella, who was Viserys' aunt.
Jesus Christ.
Viserys' parents were sister-brother, and Daella is also a sister of them. So she's half Targaryen. Okay.
So, and then so that means that her father is an Aaron, and those are the people of the Vale, right? That's like who Lysa married. Mm-hmm. The king that was killed at the beginning of Game of Thrones was an Aaron, right? Jon Aaron?
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I can't believe I remember all this shit. I really can't. So her mother, Emma, is pregnant, and this is where she talks about... This was such an interesting character to me. First of all, Sherlock's sister.
Right.
Which I didn't catch till the second time I watched it. I was like, I know this lady from somewhere. Because she says here, she sounded a lot like Cersei in some ways. Yeah. In that this is what we do as queen. Right. This is my role. This is my job. I'm to have the babies and all. And especially when she was drunk and kind of like trying to lecture Sansa, right? Mm-hmm. But I felt like for her, she didn't seem to resent it the way Cersei did. It almost felt like she believed this stuff. Like she bought into the patriarchy, and I think there's two things to that, right? It's one, they really seem to be in love. This wasn't like Robert and Cersei, right? So I think it's easy to be okay with having the man who loves babies. You know, like she doesn't see it as, you know, but also she has a place of privilege. So other women in the realm having babies, whether they want to or not, don't have attendants like she does. So I kind of felt like her, clearly she was in, because we all know, well, you get to them final days. It is the most miserable.
Definitely felt like that, yeah.
You're just like, somebody please take this baby out. You know, I feel like even at her most miserable, she's still being made to be as more comfortable than most other, you know, every other woman in the realm in her position, I think. So it just was interesting to me that she kind of was like saying this really, you know, kind of sexist stuff to her daughter who wanted more for herself, but she felt, but she, you know, she was saying it like it was just like so normal and okay and not sexist, and she just seemed to have made peace with her position.
Right. Yeah. I think that's true of a lot of these relationships within the Targaryens, the sister brothers, most of them who married. Not that that makes it better, but you know, we're in this show and incest is going to be a major thing between brothers, sisters, generations, everything. So we just got to move past it. But like most of them had good relationships between the brother and sister that got married, and they wanted to be together. Some of them ran away to be together. Like their parents were like, I need you to go like marry some other, you know, like a Westerling or something like that.
Marry this Baratheon.
Like nope. let's make allies. And they're like, but I love him, you know, and they like run off. So yeah, like being of royal blood, they were raised to, and they, you know, and part of it is the Targaryenness too, is that they like truly believe in this blood magic. And
That, you know, there's a line that it's gonna kill me because we were watching a show that we covered recently, and if I'm lucky you've seen it and this rings a bell, you can tell me what it is. But there was like a line where I feel like two women met, and it was like one said to the other something like, I know how he convinced you to be here, right? Like selling the idea of you're gonna save the world, like basically saying like that's like the most romantic thing someone can say to you. Like you feel you are so special and so important and so needed that we need you to save the entire world. And I don't know what show it was. We cover, like, probably later today I'm going to scroll through all my my list of notes, the shows we cover, see if one of them ring a bell. But I kind of was thinking of that at the end when Viserys was telling her about, like, the prophecy. And again, back to what you're saying. Of them really believing this. It's like, I think that she wanted it because she felt like, why it should be mine. Like, why are you you know, you're so hung up on having a son, and look what it keeps putting mother through when I'm right here and I'm capable. But then he says, oh, but also it has to be us. Like, that's a fucking head trick to put on somebody. It is. And you see what that did to Daenerys, you know? Like, they think that pressure so caused,
you know, every other generation somebody cracked, you know?
So, yeah, and then she refers it to the royal womb. I just want to make sure I said that because I was just like, wow, Mom.
Well, and like saying that, you know, on one hand, she does have the, you know, the privilege of attendance and spending, you know, the day in the bath and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, like a washerwoman in Flea Bottom could probably say, you're sleeping in the street from now on. We're not doing it. Go find a whore. Whereas Emma had to bear babies until she died. You
know. So, she says, this is how we serve the realm. So then we head to the Great Council meeting, to which Rhaenyra is late. Come in smelling like dragons. He's like, you smell like outside. Okay, what do we think dragons smell like?
I have spent probably more time than I should have thinking about this. I Googled, do reptiles smell? And the answer was no. So I think they smell like brimstone.
Ah, I was just going to say dominance.
Yeah. A lot of pheromones
They
there.
smell like greatness. I like brimstone though, because, and I feel like I don't remember which dragon it was. I think it was Drogon. But like the first time we saw what it looks like for the flames to come out, like they open the mouth and there's like, it wasn't like they just something stupid just comes from the back of the throat, but it's like they had like these things inside on the sides and inside, like those look like tubes or something. Yeah. And yeah, I'm fine with that. They smell like brimstone. Let's go with it. So she came in smelling like outside dragon brimstone.
Right.
And she's the cup pourer or cup bearer or whatever in this. She was like Arya was to Tywin. Yes. I don't know, that just clicked.
It's an important position because she can snoop.
And you get all the tea. Exactly. While you pour the tea, you get to get all the tea. So there's a couple of conversations going on when we enter this great council meeting. My homie Corlys, is that his name?
Yes.
The Targaryen. I won't call him that again. I'm sorry. Corlys, my homie Corlys, he's saying that, and I feel like this is definitely going to be something that comes up later. So I wasn't 100% trying to get it all correct because I was just like, I know it's going to come up later. But he mentions these groups, and I don't know if they were like groups of like pirates or regions that come together, call themselves the Triarchy, and they are fucking up something in the Bloodstone area, something about some stepstones. And if we don't,
it's the freaking free cities again.
Okay,
stirring up shit.
They don't know how to act, and they're led by someone. Now I wrote this real fast and I wasn't looking when they said it, so I didn't see how it was spelled in closed caption. So what I have written here, phonetically, his name is Clagus Jaehaerys. And they call him the crab feeder. So that's what I'm going to call him.
That's the important one.
That's the important. So I'm guessing he feeds people to crabs when they don't do what he needs them to do. But anyway, Corlys is warning the king about them, and that like if we don't do something about this, or if we don't keep an eye on this or something, our ports will eventually be in danger. So I guess it's like they're interfering with their ability to import, and they may, goods that they need to the realm. And then another conversation that comes up is, where the fuck is your brother? Where Daemon at? And then they talk about this tournament, and I was like, y'all love y'all some goddamn tournaments.
Right.
I remember this was a big deal in season 1. The cost of this tournament, remember? And so now they're having a tournament to celebrate the upcoming heir, this baby that Emma's going to have. It feels like there's like some like kind of like, we might be putting the cart before the horse, or and he's like, the king is like, no, it's a son and I know it. Yeah. So we can do the celebration now.
I think this whole meeting is a nice snapshot into Viserys' reign. They open with him, one of the signature like half jokes. This time
looking up the wrong end or something.
Right. Yeah. Like, is that the end of the donkey joke, from Game of Thrones, like we don't know. So it's one of those little things, and he's like, and Corlys is trying to be serious. He's like,
I don't want to drink. No more drink. Yeah.
Right. He's like, I'm trying to warn you about something serious here. Mm-hmm. Like, if these guys take over these islands, they're going to mess up the shipping lanes, and we have to be serious. We can't let them build power. And, like, here comes Beesbury, like, with his little bitchy comments, and he's just trying to change the subject, because he knows the king doesn't want to talk about that. And what the king really wants to talk about is his tourney. Mm-hmm. And people keep trying to make him face...
do work. Do his job.
Like, yes. Face reality. Like, even accept the fact that this could be a girl, or it could die like the last 5 babies.
Right.
And he's just like, no. go, to the point that he's literally starting the tournament before the baby's even born. It's classic. It's classic.
It made me wonder, especially when the few times that we heard from Corlys in this episode, was like, his wife really should have been the queen.
Seriously, I love them so much.
Oh my God. I told Dany, I'm like, you just know. Like when they were like up there watching the jousting and stuff, and he's like, should this be how we are celebrating the birth of our next king or whatever? I told Dany, I was like, she'd just be looking at him like, we just go home to get away from these white people. She just want to go home with her fine ass black husband and them beautiful black babies and just.
Yes. The way they look at each other constantly, like the smirks and his like Corlys with the eyebrows.
I want more of them. I want more of them.
Yes.
So and I pointed out Corlys refuses. Doesn't want more alcohol. He's all about the business. The next scene is Rhaenyra going to Westerling takes her to the throne room where Daemon is sitting in the throne. And now we know that this is like his reaction was like Ned's reaction when he walked in and saw fucking Jaime sitting on that throne after they sacked King's Landing. Get your ass off that throne.
I love it.
He was so offended.
He's like, God damn it.
He's like,
I don't want to do this.
Oh my God, they get so offended.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll handle it. I'll handle it. And then we got to hear all this lovely, lovely high Valyrian.
It was so nice to
hear. They sound really good saying it too.
They did.
It felt like. It just felt like people fluent in a language I didn't know. It felt like when I listen to Korean speak because I'm studying it, I'm like understanding every other sentence. Yeah.
Right.
But he's in the seat, and the throne looks different than it did in our series. Yeah. This looks, even I know this from reading the Game of Thrones series. It's a more accurate, I think, representation to how the throne is described in the books. And for those who may not know or maybe forgotten, it was constructed out of all of the swords of the people who bent the knee when the first Aegon and his sisters fuck shit up. They had the dragon breed, melt them down and form this seat. And it's like, I think the main difference is it looks so much cruder. Mm-hmm. Like the other one felt like a seat that they just stuck swords up the back of it and around.
Right. It was definitely a more stylized version.
Right. This feels like it is literally, you're just sitting on swords and you just got to lay some down horizontally like planks to sit without getting stabbed in the ass. But the rest of it, good luck.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point. The whole deal with the Iron Throne was that it is literally a dangerous seat
to have. He told her it's the most dangerous seat in the realm. But there also, if I remember correctly, I thought there was something about kings being cut on it, and we see Viserys, first of all, he has a cut on his back, which, I'll hold on, because we are going to talk about that later. But wasn't it supposed to be something like a sign of, like, whether or not you are fit to rule, if you can't sit there without it cutting you or something like that?
Exactly. They, the whole, the maesters or whatever, the whisperers would say that the throne was rejecting you because you're unworthy. And
you're weak.
So... there's definitely something to be said for the ease with which Daemon lounges across the throne versus his brother, who very uneasily sets the throne and is also being constantly injured by it.
Mm-hmm. So Daemon gives Rhaenyra a Valyrian steel necklace, and she says, he says, do you know what this is? And she says, Valyrian steel, like Dark Sister. And I didn't get till later, that's his sword.
Yes.
That's Daemon's sword. That is a badass fucking name for a sword.
So good.
George R. R. Martin, sometimes you motherfucker, sometimes you just really, you know what the fuck you doing.
I know.
You just need to finish. That is a really cool name for a sword.
Yeah.
You can tell someone like Joffrey did not name that sword.
For sure.
All right. Now this, I was like, this feels incesty.
Yes. I think
that was the first time I popped into our group chat was to say, when I said that, this is the scene I was talking about, Sarah.
And you know, I have heard so many, and I just, like, where to even start? I've heard so many people trying to be like, this is like an uncle and niece thing. It's like a bonding thing. And like, let's just, I mean, put it to rest, people. With the Targaryens, you should never assume that there is not sexual tension.
Right.
Just because they are uncles, grandfathers, nieces, doesn't matter.
It feels like it's like, it feels like if you're in a room with a bunch of Targaryens, it's like being in a room with a bunch of swingers. Just like...
It is.
You know?
It is.
Just, there's no, at any given moment, anybody in this room could start fucking. Okay?
Literally.
Exactly. So, I don't, like, I felt inside. When he said turn around, I was like, God damn. This is about to get incesty in the throne room.
Right. And, you know, I think that to some degree, this is kind of a parallel to the scene with her dad at the end where, like, Daemon does care. Like, he cares about himself, obviously.
Yes.
He's, you know, a narcissist. But he does care about the Targaryen heritage, and in a way, he is passing more of that heritage and the things she needs to know and have and what it takes to feel like a Targaryen than her father has done up to this point. And that creates, you know, it is a familial relationship, and then it also creates that secret, you know.
Now, I will tell you, when she first walked in, it felt like, you know, it's like, oh, this is adversarial, you know. But then it felt like, oh, this might be a little sexy. And all of that. Right, and all of that can be true. Because they're Targaryens. But I, like you, I felt like, well, hold on, I'm going to put a pin in that because I do have a question for you about Daemon. We're going to talk about Daemon quite a bit in a bit. Okay, so now we're under the weirwood tree. This is in the, or on the ground, the castle grounds, right? And it's Alicent and Rhaenyra. She doesn't want to study. Rhaenyra doesn't want to study. But it turns out she knows her shit. She was just playing, like, she didn't want to do it. But it turns out she could tell you who Nymeria bedded and wedded and what her dragon name was and all this stuff. She knows her history. But she says, you know what? I just want to do hood rat shit with you. I just want to fly around on my dragon and eat cake. And I was like, girl, same.
Right? Who can blame her? But apparently Alicent can blame her because Alicent seems a little upset by that.
Alicent is fucking shady as fuck. Look, I'm telling y'all, I'm sorry. I have not, this is funny because I just watched one of my favorite YouTube reactors react to this K-drama that I've been enjoying. It just finished. We're going to be covering it on the podcast, by the way, soon. Extraordinary Attorney Woo. And it's just so funny watching them, like, make predictions about characters, and they're so wrong. They're like, oh, he's going to be evil. That's the love interest. They're like, so this is how I feel, though. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, no, wrong, stupid. But I feel like there are people listening to this who have read the book or are like, you big dummy. But this girl, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. That's all I'm saying. I don't trust her. Because, no, I don't trust her. We'll get there. I don't trust her.
Yeah, it was an interesting reaction because it's like, is it that she's upset because she truly doesn't think that Rhaenyra is ambitious, and that upsets her because she thinks everybody should be ambitious? Is it that she's upset that she wants to be queen and she can't believe that Rhaenyra is throwing this away?
That's what it felt like to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, or is she upset that she thinks Rhaenyra is actually ambitious and she's lying to her. So it's like kind of all in there, depending on
my read of it was that she was, and maybe I don't know, obviously I don't know the exact reason, but it felt like she didn't like that Rhaenyra wasn't taking this seriously. And it kind of felt like, and it's not like her. I mean, she's of a family of some standing. Her father is Hand of the King, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it just kind of felt like, girl, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you want to go eat cake and be on the dragon when you can, you're a princess and you can yeah. That's what but I don't know. And then this whole thing with the dad is so gross. I don't want to think about it, but it's Game of Thrones, so I'm sure. Like I said, I really thought by the end of this episode, he was going to be, when he said, I got something to tell you. It's going to be hard for you to hear. And I was like, oh my God, motherfucker, what are you doing? I was like, your white body is still smoldering.
Right. Literally, the ashes on the hill have not blown away.
No, still embers in the ashes. What the fuck are you doing? But thankfully it wasn't that. But I know it's coming because this is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I love when she was like, fuck the scepter. That was hilarious.
Right. And I think we should mention, just because everybody's pointed it out with the Godswood here.
Yes.
This tree is the stump that Sansa prays at later. And technically, this, according to the book, I'm just saying this because it's out there. Like, it should have this tree and all the trees in the south were destroyed by the Andals. So, thousands of years ago. So they've been gone. They've been stumps. So this one is still up. So it's interesting that it is not up later. So maybe they will. Yeah. Who did that?
Who did that? No, I'm so glad you said that because I didn't realize that, that the fact that it was still there was notable, if that makes sense. Like, I forgot. I didn't know. If I did know, I'd forgotten that. I know that the Andals had cut all of those down. And that makes sense once they, spreading their religion.
Right. And they didn't want the children spying on them.
Right. So to me, I'd having forgotten that or not known it, when you said that, it was very interesting that one remained. Because I'm like, okay, but why did that one remain? And now it's even more interesting, like, okay, then who just it was there all that time not bothering nobody? Who decided to cut it down in the past 172 years?
Right. I mean, if anybody would have, like Maegor, maybe.
Yeah,
but
right.
He's dead.
Right.
So
that's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. The king got monkeypox. No, he don't. I'm sorry. That's not funny. I shouldn't have said. Oh my God, don't cancel me. I shouldn't have said that. That's a real thing that people have. Listen. Oh my God. All right, we're about to do some TMI, and I am not high, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Okay.
It is so fucking hot. And I typically, except when I was pregnant, I take really good care of my skin. And whenever I'm pregnant, just acne is terrible. And, but I typically I'm really good, don't get acne. But it's been so fucking hot, you guys. I have a pimple, under my right boob. And I think it came from boob sweat, which is, my God in heaven.
Right.
I don't know how much more women have to deal with. This is not fair. Or people with breasts, I should say. We all suffer from this. If you got big titties, no matter who you are, in the heat, this is just terrible. So I flipped out and I lifted up my right hand and I went up to Dany last night. I was like, what is this? Is it monkeypox? Because I just happened to scratch under there and it's like, I was like, what the fuck? I was, and there's a pimple there. But anyway. So
it is wild when they pop up, and it's just like, when did this?
Why? I don't have enough going on. This is I got to deal with.
Right, it's the last thing. Yeah.
So anyway, I saw this on his back, and I was like, that looks a little monkeypox. So don't cancel me because I made a monkeypox joke about my own pimple under my tit. All right, so stop. But no, he doesn't have monkeypox, but he got something, and he says it's just a cut from the throne. It's on his back. And I'm like, nigga, this is, are we supposed to believe that's true? That's where he got the cut? Or is he
sick? I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, but even still, it's if it looks like it's a cut that just, maybe it wasn't treated, it got infected. Mm-hmm. But it's not healing. And it's oozing. This was so fucking nasty. I was like, he got that gray stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think,
I wasn't sure if they were trying to say this is like some sort of cancer, like he had some sort of skin issue coming, or because when he said it's nothing,
right.
it's just a cut from the chair, I
Yeah.
didn't know if we were supposed to believe that, and they were just setting up now, especially because they've already set up that the wife is pregnant and it may not be a boy, and the brother's kind of shady. So I was like, oh, is this like his Robert Baratheon Boar moment? you know?
Yeah. y- Well, I don't know if they're trying to say that, but I do think like around this time, he is like the Maester points out he's stressed out. Like we don't
Yeah.
believe in humors, that's
Right.
some medieval shit, but he's not wrong in that his circulation was horrible. And so like his body isn't healing and
Mm.
it may be partially due to stress. Like his body is like breaking down
Right. Right.
because he's not like he accepted this role, but
Right.
as you can see, he's not exactly embracing it.
Right. He's not very.
It's a lot of pressure for him.
I
Yeah.
feel like he could be
He could
like
be.
he could be a good king. Like, and not to say he's a bad king, but I feel like some shit's about to happen that could have been avoided if he'd been a better king. Let me just say
Right.
that.
He's
Whereas,
just not a confrontational guy, which unfortunately you have to be.
yes, and I think it's a big difference from somebody like Robert who didn't really
Right.
want it but took it because his pride was hurt, and then he's a terrible fucking king because he shouldn't have been king to begin with, right?
Right.
But yeah, so there's talk of that they're going to carterize it. We never go back to that, so I don't know. I'm assuming that worked.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, when the Maester, like the old Maester, suggests leeches, this would actually be one of the two things that leeches would help with.
And
you can use leeches. It's their FDA approved for dead tissue.
So I missed this, when he suggested it, did he just say no?
Well, I think the old Maester was just like, well, we could do leeches. And then that's when the Maester popped up and said, what if we just cauterize this shit?
I was so surprised. He was like, may I suggest cauterization? And then the Maester, as if the guy didn't even speak, he was like, I recommend cauterization or something. I was like, did he just take credit? Was that his way of just
like, are they trying to say... Like, is there something they're trying to say about the old Maester? Like, is it
right?
that
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Is he stuck in his older ways and like this is a new, technique that you would cauterize something? Although surely not. I mean, sticking a sword in the fire and burning something, a stump.
I feel like that's something they would be doing on the battlefield all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Or is it that the Maester knows that Viserys in particular doesn't like to take the hard road, and he's waiting for somebody else to say, well, we could burn it, and he goes, what about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the queen, it tells her husband, I have no more babies. This is it.
Right.
This is it. And this is where we learn about her miscarriages and stillbirths. And I was like, sis.
Yeah.
Sis, this ain't good for you, sis. This ain't good for you.
Right.
And he's like,
okay. Yeah. You go ahead and then.
Oh, I was going to say, and he's just basically like, it don't matter. I had a dream. It's a boy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and like it's an interesting relationship moment here, and like essentially the last positive relationship moment you'll have between them, where like he tries to understand where she's at.
Yep.
But at the point where she starts laying the ultimatum down, where she's trying to reach him with the hard truth of, this is probably not a boy, it's probably not even going to live, furthermore, I'm not going to do this again. There's like something that comes over his face where he's like, well, in my magical thinking, literally, this is a boy, and we're not going to have to talk about this conversation. But I feel like, if you look at his face, I mean, he's a great actor, so you can interpret a lot of things going through that. Like, he's having trouble processing, like, what do you mean you're not going to do this again?
Right. And because he avoids, like you said before, hard conversations, it's like, well, this is moot. We don't even talk about that because guess what?
Right.
The dream told me it's a boy. Because he's probably thinking to himself, we'll deal with that if we need to get to that.
Yes, which is how he handles everything.
Yeah.
And then, and then that becomes the question, like, when the argument does not become moot anymore,
Mm-hmm.
what is Viserys willing to do? He's willing to do whatever.
Yeah. Where were we? Oh, so Damon's a cop. He's the worst kind of cop.
The most
This
cop.
motherfucker. So he is, Daemon Targaryen is, I didn't say this before, but he was put in charge of the city guard, the city cloaks, right? The gold cloaks.
Right. He makes them the gold cloaks. They were the city watch.
Oh,
so he's the
so
one
he's
that gives
the one
them
that
the gold
he
cloaks.
starts the gold cloak thing, which they
Right.
also got rid of by the time we got to 172 years from now. Because they were like, they had, if I'm not mistaken, they were like in white and gold clothing, but like their capes were, Jaime's cape was, I'm thinking of that scene. You remember when he had that fight with Ned in the courtyard and and the guy stepped in and cheated and wounded Ned, and that's how Jaime was able, I that scene in particular, I feel like Jaime had a white, I feel like his cape was white. I'm trying to remember, like,
Well,
or
he
even
was
when
in the King's Guard, though.
Oh, that's right. That's different. That's right. So who are the gold? Have I seen gold cloaks before?
Yeah,
Like, who's a
they're
prominent
the
gold
city
cloak?
watch. So those are the guys that Ned thought that he bought off
Ah,
via,
yes.
Littlefinger.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. He was a King's Guard. That's different. Because I was going to say he had the distinct when we met him in the very first episode. Right, but he's King's Guard.
Right.
That's different. That's right.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, he's a cop. And so this is interesting to me because they go through, this is the Red Keep, right? Or yes. And they're just rounding motherfuckers up and meting out punishment. And later, when they're complaining about it in the council meeting, they're like, he rounded up criminals. So are we sure these people, not that it makes a difference, because if you guys have a system, and I'm not sure, I'm assuming they had a system that people still had to be like arrested and tried and then they'll hang your ass or whatever. But like, not that it matters, but like, did they know these? Because it also, this scene was dark as fuck on my TV. I still can't tell. The brightest thing was that man's ass when they cut off his dick. Right? Like, that's not, we were watching it earlier. I was taking notes and I was like, I can't see. And I just heard screams and fighting, and then occasionally I'd see a face, and then I saw the ass. And right after somebody yelled rapers, I was like, oh, he's getting his dick cut off. But like, I couldn't tell, were they pulling people out of homes? Were they pulling people out of the bar? Like, so how did, then someone would be like, thief, and then the guy loses a hand. So what was your take on that? Because I honestly did not know if these were innocent people or if it mattered. Like, if they were just...
Yeah. I mean, I think we're supposed to think that they went down to like Flea Bottom, which is full of criminals, but also poor people.
Yeah.
And it is, on one hand, I acknowledge that it is possible that they have arrested these guys repeatedly and that some of the gold cloaks do know who these people are. Because
those are the people I want to point out. It's the gold cloaks who are calling out these, this is the thief. This is right. Okay.
Right. The captain of the gold cloaks is basically saying this. He's like, but to me, I think it was just a reign of terror. Like, it was just a roundup. Right. And so he was shouting out crimes loudly so that people could see this is what happens to X, is a raper, a thief, whatever. And warnings. I don't think, like, maybe those people were criminals, but I don't think it mattered. Yeah. At this point.
And it didn't work, because Flea Bottom was shit then and now and still. It's not like people was like, you know what, I'm never going to commit a crime again, because those motherfuckers came through here cutting off dicks and heads.
I just want to know what crime you have to commit to get your leg cut off. Like, what crime is that?
Like, did you step on somebody's foot accidentally and didn't say sorry? What happened to you? Why did you do that to you? And Damon's, this is the first time we see his helmet. His and it's like it's a whole ass dragon on his head.
Yes.
It's better than the guy he spars with later. He jousts with the first person, the Hightower son. His is a whole fucking castle, no, it was like what's that thing in chess? Is it the rook?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this big old rook on
It's a high tower.
Yes. I was like, dude, okay, I get it, but you know what it looked like? To me, it was like you might as well have just rode in there with like those little fake Burger King crowns they used to give you at the children's meeting. I was like, what is that? That looks ridiculous. Right. So Daemon is reprimanded for this at by the king and the others at the table at the council. And this was interesting to me because he was sitting there. There was some serious, like, I was catching some doctor vibes at some point. Like, when they would put the camera on him as somebody else was speaking, it reminded me of times when the doctor, like, he's hearing what you're saying, but he's already thinking of two things ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like,
smirking and scheming.
Yes, yes. I was like, yes, that's why you cast Matt Smith. That's why.
Exactly. Yep.
And as such, when poor Viserys was like, if it happens again, there'll be consequences, whatever the fuck. I was like, I actually, right when he was done talking, I was like, I don't believe you.
No one does.
Shit. You ain't gonna do shit. And they showed David's face, and David's face was like, you ain't gonna do shit. He was just smirking. Yes. But unfortunately, he was wrong, because the next time he stepped out of line, his ass got exiled.
Well, it was personal.
Well, that's true.
At that point.
But also, I feel like, he was ready. He threatened to cut off his tongue when he walked in that throne room. But, yeah. So there are a couple of things come up while he's being reprimanded. Daemon's married. To Lady Rhea. Yeah. Lady Rhea from the Vale. And so the Aarons, they were from the Vale area, right?
Right.
Okay.
She's a Royce.
Oh, so that's the, what was it? Roose Royce. Didn't we know
Bronze.
Royce?
It's Bronze Jan Royce.
Yes.
He was the one that trained little Robin.
Yes. That boy stressed him out so bad. Yes. He couldn't shoot.
So the
for
Royces
shit.
are still hanging around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so his wife is from the Vale, and he's like, she's ugly, and I don't like her, and the women are so ugly there. People are rather fuck sheep. And I was just like, because I knew that Emma's last name was Aaron, I was just like, what does that mean about her? Is she from the Vale too? You just call your brother's wife ugly. But she's half Targaryen, so I guess.
Right.
that cancels out that part.
The genes, the seed is strong with the Targaryens. So.
And then Daemon can't smash cakes because he's preoccupied by being replaced. He can't effectively smash them cakes like he wants to. And by the way, those are not Lady Rhea's cakes. It's Rhea, whatever her name is.
This is Miss Saria.
Oh, thank you, because I never got her name. Because I was just calling her Shay 2.0. Miss Saria.
It's essentially Shay. Yeah.
Okay. And she's like, you can never be replaced. Now, this was interesting to me because I thought when this scene began and she goes over to him and she's like, what's wrong, my prince, or whatever. I really thought, girl, this ain't what he paying you for. Shut up. I thought we were going to get like that moment with Viserys in Game of Thrones where he's like, do I pay you to talk and all this?
Right.
But I was shocked by how touching this was. Where she was like, this is who you are. You can't be replaced. And then he hugs her. And I was like, oh, this is boo thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has an actual emotional connection with her.
Yeah. This is his girl.
And she's smart.
Oh, yeah. She's, he's bringing a whore to court, apparently. Because when he left with her on his... I was like...
He threw her in the car.
He threw her in the car. I told Dany, I said, he pulling the Tyrion. He's supposed to take her home wherever the fuck he going. But anyway, so the tourney. Who is this guy? I have this name written here. Is it, last name, is it Cole?
Kristen Cole.
Oh, I got that right. Okay. I had this written here in a question mark, like I had to ask her about this. So he's the son of a Dondarrion steward. So Beric Dondarrion was my motherfucker. Okay.
Yeah.
I love me some Beric Dondarrion. So a Dondarrion Dondarrion steward. Is this a steward? Is like apprentice type?
Yeah,
No?
he's basically like the house manager.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so he's not, he's not an aristocrat, but he is like the second-hand man to the Dondarrion lord at the time.
Got it.
So,
Okay, so
and then
so
he's got like a Dornish wife, I guess. So he's half Dornish. Kristen is.
Kristen is. I was like, he got a wife because he was up there.
No.
Wasn't acting like a husband. Okay.
Kristen's mother is Dornish.
Right. That's why when he took off that helmet, they were like, oh, he's exotic. I was like, girl, if you don't settle down. She was like, he's from Dorne.
Because the Dondarrions are from the Stormlands.
That's
so
right.
They thought he's just going to be, another boring guy.
Boring white guy. Yeah. They're like, no, he got a little spice to him. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he's super cute too. So he unseats 2 Baratheons.
Right. The Baratheon lads, as they call them.
Yes.
One of them is Lord Bormund. So, like, he's not a lad.
Oh my God.
He's a grown man.
He just knocked some grown-ass man off his horse. Okay.
He did.
When it's Daemon's turn, he gets to choose his opponent. He chooses the Hightower son, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they go the first time. Nico, stop it. They're not bothering you. When they go the first time, the Hightower guy gets a licking, and it knocks... I think he drops... I don't remember what... But, like, he gets, like, a licking. I think Daemon, like, drops something or something. And they make another pass. And then... So when they make the second pass... as they're about to make the second pass, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, it's not just his father watching, but it's the sister too. Poor Allison's sitting there watching her brother. And so,
just picking her fingers till they bleed.
Oh God,
she's so stressed
out. She's like, I want to be queen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to slander this girl until y'all tell me otherwise. Until she showed me otherwise. But right now, I don't trust her. But when they do the second pass, he cheats, right? What I guess is not cheating because, like, all kinds of shit went down and nobody stopped anything. So it felt like cheating, but nobody ever called it cheating. And he, like, swipes at the horse. And the guy goes, like, skidding. And what is that on the ground? It's like wood chips or something.
Yeah, like mulch.
Well, yeah, and it's just like his face.
Oh, my God. His face got so torn up.
Oh, God. And then he asks for Alicent's favor. And that was awkward as fuck. He's like, I just demolished your fucking brother. Give me some flowers.
Right.
While your dad watches, they all hate me. I don't give a fuck.
And she's like, well, okay.
I
and she goes back to get it. And Otto is like, really? And she's like, oh.
I felt bad for him until what he did later. But
oh, yeah.
She's like, good luck, my prince. And then I just have these helmets. They're just so wild. They're just so wild.
Yes.
It's so interesting.
His armor was incredible.
Yes. And then he has like it's like black and red, right? Because he had like that red. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So Emma's in labor. When the tournament starts, they announce it that she has begun her labors. I was like, I don't like the way that phrase sounds. I don't know why. Begun her labors. And she is going through it, honey. The baby is breached. And what he is told, what the king is told, is that it's been a long time. Like, the baby's not coming out.
Right.
And
it's stuck.
And if we just wait and wait and wait, eventually they're both going to die.
Right.
He goes, they will both die if we don't save one. We can try to save the child with this technique that they've been doing at the Citadel, I think, or they're practicing, right? And he tells him to do it. And then he says, if we do it, there's a chance that, the baby still may not make it, right? But we can try. But she definitely won't because of the blood loss.
Right. And in the follow-up, afterwards, just in case it wasn't clear enough, because I know people would say, well, some women can give birth to breech babies, and if you just give it some time and you could try turning it. First of all, like he said that they weren't able to turn the baby. And then afterwards, in the kind of like making of the episode, they clarified that like it was stuck. Like,
right.
She was gonna die. She was like an hour from dying anyway, you know.
Right.
So, like, she was going to die, but, you know.
And so, again, I think we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, but again, it's a shitty situation, but it's compounded. Nico, stop! I'm so sorry. It's compounded by the fact that she wasn't given a choice. Like she wasn't
not even told
on this decision at all. Right. And
he doesn't even have the guts to say
they're going to bring the babe out now. That's all he said.
Right. And then he's like, "Don't be scared." What, bitch? Like.
And she knew, like, she was like, it was like when he said, "I love you," it was really interesting because, Nico, stop. Sorry. Like, it's like a split second after that is when she got concerned, but it's also, it coincides with them kind of like roughly pulling her down, it felt like.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell, like, the timing on it is so quick. Like, I was like, was it the "I love you" and like, it just felt like she knew so quickly, like, what the fuck, you know, like, what does that mean? They're gonna take the baby out, like, why do I have to be? And then it just started getting brutal, you know, holding her down and such. And because, you know, she mentioned earlier, the birthing bed is our battlefield. We have these two, the next few scenes, they're just, you know, going back and forth between this forced cesarean and the tourney, which is now Daemon versus Kristen Cole. So they hold her down, cut the baby out. Daemon gets hit one time and, like, rides the rail. His body is just
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And so he gets down off the horse and he's like, "We gonna brawl." So they get to fight with, you know, weapons. And he pretty much beats Cole's ass to the point where he starts celebrating before he reaches the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets his ass handed to him and he's forced to yield.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because...
same thing happening in the other room.
Right. I feel so bad. This was so... and I don't have... What is it? Oh my God, I knew it and then I forgot. The actress who plays Emma.
Yeah.
She is her screams here. She got the one episode and she was like, "Y'all gonna remember me," because...
Right. Anne Brooke is her name.
That's it. Anne Brooke. That's right. But this yielding thing I thought was interesting because I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to think of Daemon. I thought one, they're Targaryens. So I felt like all the early stuff, I felt like, oh, he's one of the bad ones, right? And then obviously they're setting him up like he's cheating on his wife, but this is Westeros, who isn't. He's a prince, right? He's a prince. He's power hungry, right? Like he clearly he is the next heir, and he believes that will happen. But I feel like they were setting us up. I'm jumping ahead a bit, but I feel like they were setting us up to kind of feel like he will do, like he was like a Joffrey type, maybe, like he will do anything. And I'm not really getting that. Like, yeah, I'm not really getting that. So that's all I'll say for now. Right. I'll touch back on this when we talk about the conversation at the next council meeting. But for here, I was surprised by this yielding because I thought they were setting him up to be the type of character that would pull like the Hound, or like the guy we saw earlier who was losing and then just went ape shit and killed that guy, and then it was just allowed to happen. Right. Or maybe that happens later, I don't remember. But I thought it was going to be like that. Like he was going to say yield, and then Daemon was going to pull out a knife and like cut the guy's Achilles heel or some shit.
Right.
And
it was definitely at that point, and I think it was kind of like mutually assured destruction. Like, you know, Kristen was like, "I can bring this Morning Star down on your face," and you can stab me in the Achilles, but then we'll both be dead.
Right.
And is that what you really want?
And so I was just surprised that he yielded, because I just thought they were setting him up to be a different type of character. So the baby, she dies, the baby is born, and he's named Balon, the name that they picked. But then this was really, I thought, like, kind of subtle to some, because, like, I remember being like, the scene ends and you can hear, like, the baby kind of coughing or gurgling or something. Yeah. And I remember being like, wait, was that a cough? Was it, did something happen? And the scene ends, and I've watched a couple of people react to this episode, and I guarantee, like, everyone, somebody on the couch is like, wait, what was the baby? Was that a noise?
Right. I think, you know, as horrible as it is, like, the maester, you know, he's like, well, this is a son, you know, he kind of has the appropriate tone of voice for what just happened. Like, we're not just moving on and celebrating. And this is what you want. And then, the baby has, like, little choking sounds, and you can see, like, his face changes, and he kind of looks up subtly at Viserys, like, I hope he didn't hear that.
So we're at the funeral, and Rhaenyra has to do it. She has to. Why was it her dragon? Does the king not have a dragon?
He doesn't, because he rode Balerion until Balerion's death, and then because he had ridden, like, the king of the dragons, he never took another dragon.
Viserys rode that big ass dead dragon?
Balerion. Yeah, Balerion has only been dead, like, less than 10 years.
Wow, I did not know that. I thought because he had, because he was from Valyria, I was like, well, fuck. Like, he had to be dead a while, right? Like, I didn't know that.
He lived, like, over 200 years.
He was can we get a prequel to this? Because I want to see that motherfucker.
I know. Like, he was huge. Like, no other dragon ever reached his size. And so, you know, that's why it's such a big deal. So he never took another dragon, and Emma never took a dragon. So, you know, it's Rhaenyra.
I guess, and it would be kind of. I'm sorry, my dog is, like, acting like this. Donnie's about to, like, we don't know what he wants and why he's being weird. He might just want, like, attention and somebody to play with. But so now when I mentioned another prequel series, I have to say that again, I don't know a lot about the kind of post Game of Thrones history beyond, like, you know, the stuff they told us in, you know, if you've read the books, you know, things that happen, or, like, stories that old Nan used to tell Bran, like, you know. But I really wanted to see Aegon and his sisters conquer Westeros. But I guess that's not really that interesting, because it doesn't feel like anybody could put up much of a fight. I just wanted to see bad dragon action, right? But this show has promised that, and the only way that makes sense is if, now forgive me, because I feel like the conflict of this show was mentioned in Game of Thrones, but I don't remember the details. So I know there's going to be some Targaryen beef with dragons fighting dragons, like the whole dance of the dragon. So I cannot believe I was, like, wanting this. This is where all the good shit happens, I'm thinking, right? It feels like.
Yeah, we're about 25 years from the Dance of the Dragons.
Yes, I love it. Okay, this show, and I'm so happy, I didn't mention this, but this show, this episode pulled in, I think they said, nearly 10 million viewers, which makes it the biggest premiere ever for HBO. So, so good. And I don't know, like, where this is supposed to end. It's just 10 episodes. But, you know, Game of Thrones. And we know there is a time skip, right? Because we have the older versions coming. So my assumption is that they want to do more than one season, right? Like, they're not telling the whole... Because, again, like... this starts at the halfway point of that first volume, this show, but, like, do we know when the second volume is supposed to come out? how much, where is this going to end? Are they going to try to tell the whole thing? And is this like a 1 season thing? Or I feel like HBO is going to try to milk this.
I think that there have been some, it hasn't been clarified yet.
Okay.
But there have been some suggestions that this could be almost like an anthology type series where the first 2 seasons could be leading up to and through the Dance of Dragons, and after that we don't have to continue forward from the post-dance era. Like, we could go back technically and do something else.
Okay. I mean, it's a lot of shit there. Yeah. So what's her dragon's name again? Syrax?
Syrax, yeah.
Syrax. Why do I want to keep saying Psy? What am I doing? Our guy there. Okay. Syrax. Has to do it. Has to be the one to light aflame the dead queen and prince. And this bit of acting with her not being able to say Jaehaerys the first time through her grief, that was good. Yeah. And it was like a moment when he was like, when Daemon tells her your father needs you, and she looks at him and she steps forward. It was kind of like, really, motherfucker, you gonna make me do it?
Right. Like, once again, Viserys is like, like he could turn to her and say, can you do it?
Right. I was
but
like,
he won't.
That's why
he
I
can't
asked,
even
like,
do this.
Why her dragon? I was like, because, like, did she have to be the one to say it because the dragon won't listen to anybody? Like, it was just so, it just was like a fucked up position to put her in.
Right.
That I don't understand, that she had to. So it felt appropriate that she couldn't do it the first time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that dragon ain't want to do it. After she said it, he was like,
really?
Man, really? We doing this? Oh.
Right. Like, this isn't fun.
This is not, I just want to go. Can I just go?
Let's go do hood rat shit.
Yes, exactly. Go eat some cake. So then we have a feast of crows. These motherfuckers are like, we need to talk.
Oh my God.
So,
and like Corlys even looks surprised that it got brought. He's like, really? This is what we're talking about?
Yeah, he's like, I thought we was just gonna have some drinks. Right. Thought we were gonna hit there and hang out with the homie and like grieve with him and shit.
Yes, now he was gonna drink.
Right.
Because he didn't think they were gonna talk business.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, we gotta talk about succession. And he was like, what are we doing? We already have the Daemon. Right. Say his name.
Yes.
And put some respect on it. And so he had Daemon's back, right? But then when they start saying stuff like, Otto was like, no, and then I forget who the one when he was like, he's my brother and I will have him at court. And I don't remember who, was it the mace or somebody was like, well, he can be at court, but he just can't be king. So when they start, talking about possibilities and stuff, then Corlys was like, well, shit, if it's all of that, my wife can do it, and she already has a male heir.
Right.
And I felt like when the other one was like, well, just a minute ago you were supporting Daemon, I felt like, yeah, he would have, but y'all started talking like, no, we don't want Daemon, so what should we do? And he was like, well, why isn't I didn't look at it as him trying to take the power for himself. I looked at it and him saying, no, we already know what we're going to do, and it's going to be Daemon, and he may not be the best, but it is what it is. But if you motherfuckers want to start talking other possibilities, why are we looking further than my wife? That's how I took it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The queen that never was. When that motherfucker said that to her at the joust.
It was so... on one hand, it was... I think he said it in a way that would make it sound like he was teasing her. But actually, from the reactions in the box, I think that the Baratheons were behind her claim.
Ah, really?
Yeah. Because Otto is like, you could have his tongue out for that. And he's like, whatever. Like, my succession is already in place, so.
That makes sense, because it was the Baratheon that I felt like had a pause before he pledged to Rhaenyra.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask you about that later. I was like, is it me or did the Baratheon act like he didn't want to do that? And I was like, I don't know.
Baratheons are,
Yeah, I was going to say.
Anyway, but
that's what I was going to say. I was like, we know about them already, so I don't know if it was supposed to be that, but that I didn't catch that. I took it, and then I will say that I didn't know that they're cousins. So when she said, cousin, then it felt like to me they were setting her up to be. I could tell by her face in several scenes that she didn't like being passed over.
Right.
She's, playing the game, doing what she has to do. But it felt like in that scene, the way she took that ribbing from him, it felt like they were setting her up that she's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Baratheons, so the Aegon the Conqueror and his two sister wives. Their father was Aerion Targaryen and Balena Valerion, which is Corlys's
the black
family.
guy's family, right.
Right. So, but Aerion also fathered a bastard called Orys, and he naturalized him as a Baratheon. So that's when the Baratheon line started. So that's why Robert, quote, had a better claim to the throne, because he was part Targaryen.
Targaryen descent.
Yeah.
These incestuous motherfuckers. There's just
so
much. It's like 25 families, and that's it. Just 25 names.
Pretty much.
Running around. Okay.
Right.
So this was the thing I wanted to talk about. When Daemon, he was like, well, if something else happens to you, you've had a string of bad luck, likely either by design or whatever. He was like, by design? Do you think Daemon my brother would murder me? And I should point out, Daemon's listening to all of this shit.
Yes! From the other room.
He's listening to all of this shit. And I was like, I thought about it.
Because Daemon is a cop.
Yeah, Daemon's a cop. That's right. That motherfucker is the feds. I didn't think that Daemon would kill his brother. I didn't get that vibe from him.
No.
And I just thought, why
at this
y'all
point,
putting that evil on me, Ricky Bobby? I don't think he would do that. At this point, yeah. I mean, after his brother told him to kiss his ass and go home, I mean. Right. But what would that do? That's not killing him. That doesn't. He's already named her as the heir. So I don't feel like he has anything to gain by retaliating against his brother. I think if anything, he's probably really hurt by this. Yeah. And so I don't know. I know there's beef between Targaryens in the show. I just don't see where am I supposed to think that it's Daemon versus Rhaenyra coming up? God, I hope not. I like him. I want to root for him. I need him to be on the side that I root for right now.
Right. I mean, I think all these people, including Rhaenyra, are gray characters. Mm-hmm. They do have their personal ambitions. But Daemon definitely wears his feelings on his sleeve. Yeah. He is the consummate younger brother. He wants approval. And Viserys wants to be able to look the other way, and let him do what he wants.
I really wish, again, man, if they just work together. Oh my God, yeah, because I can't believe I did not write this down. It just came in my head, so I'm going to say it. Because he does say later, you never once asked me to be your hand. Because I just thought you could solve a lot of problems in terms of controlling him if he was the hand. Because you would give him a hand on the wheel that he clearly wants. And I feel like the niceness and the kind of naivete of Viserys would be balanced a little bit with Daemon. I mean, I feel like he could maybe reel Daemon in a bit, whereas Daemon could put a foot up his ass to make him, get his shit together and be a bit stronger. But unfortunately that's not what's happening.
Yeah, it would be smart. But, once again, part of this situation, the reason that he's not the hand is because Otto Hightower was Jaehaerys' hand. And he essentially, in the last 2 years of Jaehaerys' life, he took to his bed because he was sad about his sons dying and his wife dying. and he's like bedridden. So Otto essentially ran the kingdom like Tywin
like
does.
Tywin. Yeah, I was saying he's like Tywin, and when he sent that girl, I was like, oh, this is Tywin. Go ahead.
Right. Like they don't have half the ministers that they would normally have because Otto, put it all under his own umbrella. So getting him out of there would be a confrontation that Viserys is not willing to have. And so, that leaves him open to being preyed upon, like Daemon says.
Exactly. And we find out, here in this conversation too, that like you said, Otto is pulling strings, and he wanted to make Daemon master of coin, and said, nope, he's a spendthrift and he'll beggar the realm, and I wanted to make him this, and you said make him.
Right. Yeah. He's like, how many times have we had this conversation?
Right. I love this line. I think it comes from the Maesters. The gods have yet to make a man who lacks the patience for absolute power. I really like that line. Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's a good one.
They're like, okay, what about your daughter? And they're like, ew, girls.
Right. Well, and I think some of them are resentful. Again, like Lionel Strong, he's the guy with the dark curly hair.
Yeah.
That pipes up a couple of times. And like Corlys, where like they were behind a woman for the throne and they lost their bid not that long ago.
Yeah.
So like here we are considering this just because you're shit out of luck.
Okay,
so there's like a lot of simmering resentments.
Got it. Makes sense. The king is like, get the fuck out my face, because my baby's dead, my wife is dead, and y'all sitting here talking about shit I do not want to talk about right now. And it was interesting because I was like, yeah, but I hadn't really considered it till talking to you on this podcast, but that is more of the whole, I want to talk about la 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 la. Yeah.
Right. Like we don't have to talk about it while the bells are literally ringing in the background.
Yeah.
But this actually should have already been talked about.
Exactly. So Otto sends a raven to Old Town. I wonder what that's about. Because
we don't know yet.
We don't know. There's no, and that's also very Tywin. I mean, Tywin was sending lots of writing letters and sending lots of ravens.
That's right.
Like in season 2, and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. So, oh my god, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous for this girl. He sends a raven to Old Town, and then he sends his daughter to comfort the king.
Yes. Put your mama's dress on.
Put
a grown-up dress on. Yeah.
And then she show up in this ill-fitting dress with a book talking about, I heard you like dusty-ass history. Which was actually really smart, because apparently, like, he didn't send her away, and we didn't see anything either. But I feel this is what I thought they were going to do. This is what I thought they were going to do, especially because she's young, right? And he's not, right? And I know that they're going to age her up. So I'm like, clearly something's got, I'm going to throw up. It's so nasty. But how you going to come sit next to me and just start growling in the mic? Shut up. Just go to sleep.
He doesn't like it either. He doesn't like it.
Nico, go to sleep. But like, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, with the daughter. Allison, right. Nico, stop. So, sorry about that. So he, when he tells her to go there, this was actually really smart that she did this, because at first I was like, she doesn't get it. But then I thought, oh, she got it. She don't want to fuck this old man, so she's going to bring this book. She's going to Scheherazade his ass, like 1001 Nights. She's like, okay, I'm going to read you this story. And it's going to be continue, and I'll just come back, keep reading to your ass and comfort you, but I don't want to fuck this old man. So I wasn't sure, but then I was like, well, maybe she does, but she knows that he's not like that. Like, he's not like a Robert Baratheon. You can't walk in there in your mama's dress with your titties out, and it's going to happen like that. Now I'm wondering if she's just actually more calculating than I thought. She's like, okay, my dad's giving me permission to do this. I'm getting where this could go. What would work on him? He likes history. I'm going to read to him or some shit. I don't know. Like, now I'm beginning to think that she's actually quite calculating in this. But I don't know.
So this, so something's interesting about Alicent. Like I mentioned that Otto was Jaehaerys' hand. So in the last 2 years when he was bedridden, Alicent was essentially his chambermaid. He is his like companion, So they would, like, it's kind of like a biblical thing where they would send in a young virgin to keep the king company, and she read to Jaehaerys. She would read him the books. So this is a thing that she does. And
Is Jaehaerys?
I don't know.
How old is she supposed to be then? Because he's
Right, she's, yeah.
I'm sorry.
In this show,
Uh-huh.
she's the same age as Rhaenyra. So she's like 15. So she was like a little girl when she was reading to Jaehaerys, and like she was really just his
reading.
little buddy.
Yeah,
you know?
just somebody,
Right, like
a comforting voice
smile and
while this.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of an old move for her,
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
Thank
But
you for putting the
I
context
think-
on that.
yeah, I think that her bringing it in like a shield, you know,
Yes,
is very
yes.
interesting.
Yes,
you
like
know,
it's covering
the body
her whole
language.
body. Yes.
Right. But I do think that she understands that this time, you know, like the language that her father's
Yes.
used
And
is
the
like,
dress, telling her to put the dress on.
go to him,
Yes.
offer him comfort. That's also like biblical, like go into him and lay at his foot and uncover his feet and fuck him. You know, so like he knows and she knows that this is where she's supposed to take it, but that she's got some time.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And he's working on a model. And
Yeah.
are we supposed to, like, where am I supposed to know, like, does this model come up later, like in Game of Thrones, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I think
Okay.
it's just, you know, he's just
It's just his puzzle, his little 1,000-piece puzzle.
he's an artsy guy.
Uh-huh.
He likes to, you know, he built this, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it was cool. I was just trying to remember if I'd seen anything like this before in the universe, you
I
know?
don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Daemon ran his fucking mouth and called that dead baby the heir for a day. And he came back and reported, by all accounts, it was a celebration. So the king summoned Daemon to the throne room. He's like, did you say it? He don't even, like, say hi. He's like, did you say it? Like,
Right. He didn't even say what.
right, you gotta be more specific.
You know what.
Right, like, what am I supposed to say? Heir for a day. And, I gotta be honest with you, because this is, like, kind of close to when, like, I was having a really hard time earlier today trying to get a fucking therapist. I don't really remember a lot of this fight other than, like, him saying, like, you've never asked me to be your hand, all you do is try to get rid of me.
Right.
I don't remember what the punishment is. Like, I know he has to go home, like, to where his wife is, right?
Yes.
And that is
Yeah.
where?
It's basically he's just like banishing him back to Runestone.
Runestone. Okay, I couldn't remember. So he's no longer obviously head of the city cloaks, gold cloaks. He is sent home, and later when he's with the dragon, I was like, is he saying goodbye? Like, do you get to keep your dragon? But then he left with the dragon, so I was like, did he steal his dragon? But he didn't, right? Like, he could take his dragon, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're bonded.
Okay. Okay.
It's like a soul bond.
Okay.
So no one can separate them.
Okay.
But I think he was just kind of like kissing up to the dragon and getting him in a good mood because he wanted to introduce Massaria.
Right. Okay.
Her ride with him. Yeah.
That was so fucking hot, though. I'm just gonna say. I don't know, something about him sitting there touching on that dragon. I was like, this is great.
He's a very tactile person.
And I did like the whole, like, the dragon kind of pushing, and like that whole, like, the air from his nostrils coming out and like blowing his hair. Like, I love that scene so much. I'm definitely going to watch this episode at least 2 more times before Sunday. So this is, we kind of talked about this earlier, but Viserys calls Rhaenyra to the, what is this? Where the dragon, oh my God, it just occurred to me.
It's like the crypts. Yeah.
The crypts, right, but wait a minute. I knew this is where Arya in season 1 is the eavesdropping room.
Yes.
But I don't know why it just fucking occurred to me that I know that at some point, like by the time Game of Thrones comes up, Valerian's skull, like his it's not that big, like, right? If I'm not mistaken, like, I don't think it looks like that anymore, right? Like, it feels like it's kind of deteriorated some, or am I wrong?
It's like kind of dusty. I think it's like on the ground.
Yeah,
and there's a bunch of other like when right, like during the dance when they all died, they just essentially like gathered up all the skulls and just chucked them in the basement.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say. That's the part that I didn't get. I knew this was the same room, but it didn't really click until this moment that, oh, that's right. There were more skulls then, and they has to be the skulls of the dragons that are going to die coming up. And now I'm sad. Are you happy now? Now I'm sad.
I know.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it, and yet I'm really not, because I love these guys.
I don't want to see any of these dragons die. It's so terrible. So yeah, but this is where he has the conversation. This is the last living creature to witness Valeria and its doom. He talks about controlling the dragons being an illusion. We should have never, tampered with this stuff. And he tells her, he apologizes to her. And, she said several times through the episode, including at her mother's funeral, or her brother's funeral, where she says, in those few hours that my brother lived, I wonder if my father is finally happy, because he's just wanted, she's like, it's my whole life I've been aware of the fact that I'm not the son he wanted. Right. So I thought for him to apologize was good. Definitely she needed to hear it. And this felt genuine. Would he have done this if Daemon hadn't fucked up? I don't think so, but it still felt genuine. Right.
Yeah, I think if Daemon hadn't fucked up, he would be able to continue finding an excuse not to have this conversation.
It kind of forced him to, as he's prone to have to be forced to do things. Right. And so then he lets her in on the secret, and as he's talking about this kind of prophecy, this dream, the music kicks in. Oh, it's like I don't know what song this is, but I know, like, the song that Ramin Djawadi released like 2 days or so before the premiere was The Prince That Was Promised, or The Prince Who Was Promised. I can't remember that. And the song was a lot slower than I expect. I don't know what I was expecting. And there was like 5 minutes, and I remember like listening to some of it, and then I kind of skipped ahead. So I wanted to see if it I wanted to see if it like picked up at any point. And it kind of, there were like notes in it that reminded me of, what was the song when Cersei was preparing to blow up the Light of the Seven? Mm-hmm. That the piano bars. So like at this moment when he starts telling her about this, those piano bars came in, and it kind of reminded me of that song that he had released 3 days ago. And then I was like, but why? For some reason, when I heard the song, I thought it was Daemon's song. I don't know why. Not knowing anything about I didn't even know Daemon's name. I thought this was Matt Smith's character song when the song was dropped 2 days before the show release. But then when I'm watching the episode and I heard those notes, I was like, is this the same song that he... And then I was like, why would they play this now? But then it makes sense because the prince... Wait, no. Who was the prince who was promised? He was supposed to be whoever was... The prince who was promised was supposed to be Jon, right?
Right.
Okay, well, so then...
It depends.
Well, yeah. Okay. So wait, okay. The prince who was promised is supposed to be the one who leads them through the Dark Night, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it would make sense if that is the song they're playing in this conversation. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But whether or not... When we were watching Game of Thrones, I think we were supposed to think it was Jon. Once we knew... Right? Once we got past...
Yeah, I mean, I think it was supposed to be Jon, and then they made it Daenerys.
Gotcha. Yeah. I hate them so much. All right.
Yes.
So, and then this is great because it's we're seeing him saying goodbye, Daemon saying goodbye to, or not goodbye, talking to his dragon, and then what's her name, Mysaria, shows up, and I was like, who this? Because I didn't recognize her clothes on.
Right. She looks nice.
She looks really good. I was like, is this his wife? This is big though. Like, to be like,
Yeah.
meet my, just like introducing him to your kids.
Meet my dragon.
Yeah,
right.
meet my dragon. I was like, oh, he love her. And he gonna take, what's his wife gonna say? I have a feeling his wife ain't gonna be able to say shit. I have a feeling that she just doesn't get a lot of say in anything in that relationship. So I don't feel like, I'm very curious to see how this is gonna work. Like, is he gonna put her up in a nearby house? Is he moving her in? Like, what are we doing, Damon? But
yeah, he'll probably get her, an apartment nearby.
Nearby. Answer this, his phone. Only answer when I call.
Right. Don't open the door.
And this scene is really, this is typically basically the end of the episode when, she's getting prepared for, I don't know what you call this, just like the ceremony of her being named the heir, right? I don't know if that's an official name.
they're all the lords are called to declare their fealty to her.
Yeah. Let's see. This was interesting because it felt a little gay here when Alicent was like helping her on her clothes, and then she did the little back hug around thing, and I was like, could this be gay? I don't know.
A little bit.
It feels a little bit gay, but it's gay. But then she's like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, I'll fuck your dad.
Right. Yes, it's like, it's kind of the last sweet moment between them. You get the impression, that like before things change for all of us.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know if I think this girl is going to marry the dad or fuck the dad and get pregnant and have a son, because that would, oh my God, that's what's going to happen, ain't it? I don't know. Oh my God. Because I don't know. I thought, again, I know there's Targaryen beef, but I thought he got that thing on his back and he thinks it's one thing, but maybe it's something else. He's going to be dead in a few episodes. She's going to be queen. And is it going to be beef between her and Daemon? Am I going to have to watch this beautiful Drogon looking motherfucker battle this beautiful golden motherfucker? I don't want this. But now I don't know. Because, like, if she fucks the king and gets pregnant, it's going to be that whole thing all over again. Where it's not even going to... Well, no, it shouldn't matter, because even if it's a boy, he's already said that, right? Like, you can't take that back. It's Rhaenyra is your heir, right? He can't take it back.
Can you?
Unless she pulls a Cersei and she kills the motherfucker.
I mean,
right?
I feel that this is always subject to revision because Daemon was his named heir prior to this.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, I feel like if there's one thing Game of Thrones and this one first episode of this show has taught us, is that it really doesn't matter. Like, when they want it, people can, like what Cersei did.
Right.
And that's what I'm wondering. Could she do something like that? Could she get pregnant, kill him, and then because it doesn't matter if she's right, if the claim is strong or not. It just has to be a claim to cause the shit to come.
Sure.
Right.
I think that they've given enough indication in this episode that there are a lot of simmering tensions and underlying, alliances.
Because then you have like the Baratheons, right? Like, who you pointed out were kind of backing Rhaenys.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And and then it seemed like nobody wanted Daemon ass up there. But Daemon.
Right.
But Daemon and his girl.
Right.
And the Gold Cloaks, right?
Right.
So it's just really interesting because it feels like we are kind of like right back to where we were season 2 of Game of Thrones, where it's like all of these pretenders to, I'm just curious to see the fact that they're seemingly all going to be Targaryens this time is just so interesting to me, and I'm just like trying to figure out how that's going to work. And like I said, I don't trust that girl.
Yeah.
I mean, they aged them up for a reason.
Right.
I know you can't say anything. I'm sitting here just like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
I'm trying not to say.
I know you can't.
One way or the other.
I know, you're just like, that could happen. Sure, that could happen too. I don't know. Okay. And then like, oh my God. Okay. All right, I'm going to pull up the feedback unless you have anything else to say about the episode?
I think. Just one thing about the king's dagger. That's the cat's paw dagger.
Oh, that's right.
And and they kind of like they really had that on display when he's talking to her about the Song of Ice and Fire. He had his hand on the pommel, so and we know that is going to be what destroys the Night's King. So.
Okay.
Just a little shout out there.
That's right. And then, what's up with when they're the thing is in order, the meetings, the council meetings. They put those things on the table.
Yeah, like I don't think that's not from the book. It's just like a little thing that
What are they?
They're like quartz marbles or something,
okay.
And they like put them in their little bing. Like,
is it supposed? Like, I was trying to figure out. Like, did everyone at the table have one? So is it like when you want to talk, or is or just showing like you're in attendance?
Right.
Okay. All right. So the first feedback we have is from Kimberly W, who says, "Hello all. I know Nina and Sarah are on deck, but not sure about Dany and Jon. No, we don't need no men folk." Nina, were you able to control yourself when the dragons were shown? Just barely. Do you have another chant for the dragons on this, like you did with Game of Thrones? Ice dragon. Listen, not yet, because I need to meet more. Because I only really got 2 in this episode, right? We got Syrax, and don't tell me, Caraxes? No.
Close.
What is it?
Caraxes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And that motherfucker, we didn't talk about his look.
Yes.
His neck.
Yes.
Is like
his whole body. Right. And God. So his nickname is the Bloodworm. And so you can see why.
I love it. Yeah.
Like he looks crazy.
He is going to fuck shit up and I cannot wait.
Yes.
Oh wait, and then oh man. Okay, so all right. I don't hopefully this won't be spoilery, but somebody in a group asked a few days ago because it was Michael G who started reading Fire and Blood, I think like last week. Okay. And he was like, hopefully this, like, I don't know if this is spoilery, like it's vague, so it shouldn't mean anything. For those of you if you know, are you team black or team green? So I was like, I'm black. I'm always going to pick the Negroes. I was like, I'm team black. I don't know what it means, but I'm team black. But now that I've watched the show, the first episode, is this a dragon thing? Because his dragon is like black and red, right? Or is it all black? Or is it, I can't remember. But I know their clothes are black, right? The Targaryens were black and red. Right?
Yeah, the dragon is mostly red.
Okay.
But his kind of like self-styling is black and red.
Okay, his self-style. Okay. So now that just popped into my head. So I'm like, is it like
Old Town?
Oh, what do you mean Old Town?
Old Town's green.
Oh, why is Old Town green? What are you talking about?
The color of their banner.
But who? Wait. Old Town. And you asked me about Old Town. We were watching. That's Hightower. Is Hightower from Old Town?
Wasn't Old Town green? Yeah, the.
Because when we were watching it, and
Old Town was the night that was beating everybody's ass. They beat the 2 Baratheons.
No, that was not Old Town.
Oh no,
that was the
Old Town is the that's
Hightower.
Right.
The Hand of the King.
Yes, they're from Old Town.
And that's green. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure that was green.
See, Sarah can't say shit. So do you think?
Sure.
Sarah, I know you cannot confirm or deny. So that would make the 2. If you have to pick between black and green, you have black Targaryens and green Targaryens. That's the Hightower people. She gonna fuck around and fuck that king, ain't she? She gonna fuck around and fuck that king and have a little boy, and we gonna have some beef. I'm on team black. I know, Sarah, you cannot. I know you can't say anything, but no, this is so weird because like Dany.
I'm on team black too, though.
Okay, good. Listen, this is so weird because we were watching it earlier, and Dany like randomly was like, "Where's Old Town? What's Old Town?" And I was like, "Okay, I think it's where the Citadel is." But for some reason, remember, Dany, I was like, for some reason, the other thing popped in my head. Right. And I was like, is it the city that's near the wall where they had sent Gilly to live for a little bit. Was that her name, Gilly? No, Jilly. I don't fucking remember her name.
Yeah, Gilly.
Gilly, okay. So I was telling Dany, I was like, Old Town is either where the Citadel is, where Sam went to learn to be a maester, or it's the city where Gilly lived for a while that's closest to the wall. But he was like, well, he says, I asked because when I guess one of the high towers like introduced themselves, they mentioned Old Town. So he was like, and I was like, oh, well, if that's the case, then I don't think it's the place near the wall. I think it's the Citadel. That would make sense. And just now, when I was like, Green, I was asking about fucking dragons. Dany goes Old Town, and I was like, stay out of the conversation, man. But you're actually right. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Old Town is green, but their colors are green. Look at you paying attention, Dany, and solving what I think might be the mystery. So it's gonna be like the high tower side.
They're gonna have a kid, and then she's gonna, what's her name, the queen, the
Alicent. No, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra is gonna, her and her brother are gonna team up. They're gonna go get back together and team up. But I think
she ain't got no brother. You mean her uncle?
Yes,
Daemon.
Because her and Daemon are really close. I don't think Daemon's gonna do anything to fuck up her thing. But I could see them teaming up against her
hand
best friend.
Otto.
Her friend or her helper or whatever you want to call her.
Okay.
Her friend.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, Sarah.
She's gonna end up
I
know
I said no man opinion, but Dany just blew my mind with this.
She's gonna end up having a baby. It's gonna be a boy.
It's gonna be a boy,
and she's gonna want him.
She's gonna want
him to be the king.
Bitch, no, that's not how it worked though.
Well, that's what Cersei did.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, y'all. My mind is just blown now. I need Sunday to hurry up and get here. Because they're the black and the green. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking dragons, honestly. Okay, I'm going to throw up. Poor Sarah. She can't confirm. She's just sitting there like,
That's a great theory.
Okay. All right, so Kimberly says, this was super violent. Clearly this will not be a show for the faint of heart. I know I turned my head multiple times. Yet I had to look away at the cesarean. Just like, and it was really just like because of her screaming, I didn't want to see anything. So I don't know how graphic it was, but the few times I looked, I saw the blood pooling. I think I saw them reaching the hands in. I remember seeing like the baby's leg as it was coming out. And then I remember looking back at one point and it was like, you know, when you're watching something graphic with violence and blood just like squirts with every pump of the heart, like it was like that kind of thing, like a squirt of blood just, and I was like, looked away again. So I saw like bits of it, and the bits that I saw were graphic and enough that I don't know that I could have watched like the whole sequence, because then it was also being cut intermixed with the violence of the joust, which I wanted to see because that wasn't as bad.
Right.
Okay. I knew Emma was not making it out of the episode alive when her multiple miscarriages and the need for a proper heir were discussed early on. You're better than me, because I don't know. I just didn't think she would die so fast. But maybe I'm just being naive. Pimping out your daughter for money and power in the face of Emma's demise. How very male. Oh, honey, the men are menin on this show. Okay? They are minning it up.
The men are turned up to 100.
Yes. The episode was beautifully shot. The cinematography was grandiose and sweeping, perfect to draw you into the show. Matt Smith was always interesting looking on Doctor Who. Girl! Don't play with me. We will not be doing no funny. Yes, he's a goofy, funny looking white dude, and far be it for me to be defending white folks. Sarah's like one of my favorite white people. I only have about 10 of y'all. But we are not going to be slandering his goofy low looks, because he cute to me. I'm sorry, he is.
He is.
See, but that's like personality and stuff, you know, which I think works more with women, right? I think we tend to like, you know, we could like take a halfway look decent face and it'd be like personality, intelligence, sense of humor, and then he's a 10. Like it just
right.
It works.
But
that way.
and I mean, he definitely has a sense of gravity, especially in this episode, you know, where I knew that his like very unique voice would be great in this, because it's kind of creepy, but also kind of gravelly.
When he
And
says, now you're
drop it.
hounds. The way he said hounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can drop it a couple octaves.
Yeah.
He definitely had his dark days as the Doctor. And, you know, I knew it was going to serve him pretty well. And then, but, I mean, I don't even know if I should say this, but, like, I mean, when he was naked, I was like, what? Is this, like, pasted onto someone? Like, where did he get this shape? It was so startling.
Well, yeah, because you know what? They had shown, when they were filming this, there were photos. They were like, look, I remember they were like, Matt Smith has beefed up a little bit for this role. And I was like, really? I was like, oh, I didn't. But yeah, it's you could, yeah, because he knew he had that fucking scene coming up. He read that script and was like, okay, I'm gonna hit the gym. So,
I can't hide this under a little suit anymore and a bow tie.
He's like, y'all not gonna be clowning me. But yeah, I think he's cute. I would not. Yeah, I'm not gonna make fun of his looks. I think he's cute.
Yeah.
So anyway, but he was so fun and lovable. I found him cute. Yeah, personality, right? You see. The blonde tresses do Mr. Smith no favors. Here's hoping that I come to love Smith's portrayal in this as much as I did in Doctor Who, but based on what I saw of Damon this episode, I doubt that would be the case. What? I am Team Damon, honey. He's a cop, and he shouldn't have did what he did, but I don't know. I'm biased because it's Matt Smith, right? I know. I'm biased because it's Matt Smith with a fucking dragon. Excuse me.
Right? Give me a morally conflicted, gray, slightly villainish man any day.
With a dragon.
That will... You don't even have to ask.
Nope. And you give that motherfucker a dragon, it's done. It's a wrap. Team Black. Team Damon. Any thoughts on Damon's inability to complete the deed? I have some, or should I say one? Really, share that next podcast, please. I just really thought that it was that the girl was very astute and knowing that he was worried about the fact that this baby was about to be born and that it could be a boy. Yeah.
I mean, he's literally being unmanned.
Yes. And I think the fact that she was that familiar and said that, and like I said, we don't know the relationship at this point in the series, so when she said that, I thought she was going to get cussed out. Because again, I thought I had an idea of who this character was. I thought they were building him up to be very villainous, and you know, he still could be, but him off, like, accepting that comfort and not telling her she's wrong, I thought that tells the audience to take it as, yes, that is exactly what he was worried about.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, the mag is watching a big mad. There are chocolate chips in the vanilla ice cream. They really are. They so mad. But also, I just want to know, because me and Dany both said, we were like, okay, did they all die out with the dragons? Because I don't understand. We have some black Targaryens and now we don't. But then, I mean, yeah, oh my God. That makes sense.
I think they just decided to stay out of their business.
No, they're going to die, Sarah. You just don't want to spoil us. Oh my God. Oh my God. Because, no, if you think about it, oh my God. When we start, there was just what? Crazy ass, the Bad King, and Daenerys was just born, and her and Viserys had to be shuffled across the narrow fucking sea. There were no other Targaryens, right? Yeah,
right.
That was it. Just Jon, little bastard ass.
That was it. Yeah.
So,
but there's always bastards, though.
I guess. But
there were no Valyrians in Valerians.
Valerians, yeah.
You know, so, but I mean, they could all, you know, there could still be some out in the islands where he preferred to be. Like, so away.
Like, he was probably like, you know what, I had enough of these white folks over here.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I just had a breakdown. I just like, oh my God, I'm watching all these beautiful black Targaryens die this season. I'm going to be mad. Okay. Finally, she says, I thought about joining the PFC fam in its live watch. I debated watching Leslie Jones' live tweet. Oh, I forgot that she does that. I wound up doing neither due to the unforeseen circumstances. Thank goodness for DVRs. I'll read the thread and see if I can find Miss Jones' coverage later. Yeah, the thread was just a lot of fun. I miss like doing that with you guys. I'm so happy we have a Sunday night show to do that too again. Okay, Jamel says, hey girl, hey. Nina, Sarah, and possibly Dany and John. No, it's just the girls. Feels good to be back in Westeros. I haven't read these books, so I have no idea who is who. I don't have too much to say other than I'm fairly certain Rihanna. You mean Daenerys? Wait, no, what's her name? Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra? Is it Rhaenyra or Rhaenyra? Rhaenyra. Okay. She's calling her Rihanna. Is going to smash her Uncle Damon Wayans. I feel like if that girl fucks her daddy and has a baby boy, she might have to fuck Uncle Damon Wayans and have some babies. Hatch some. Where are dragon eggs? How are we getting more dragons? Are them dragons fucking? Oh no, we found out dragons are asexual, right? Don't they like change their gender to have babies and then they have the baby and then they go back to being male if they wanted to? That's what I read a couple of years ago on a Game of Thrones podcast and everybody laughed at me.
Yeah, they never specify if they have to like mate or, if the eggs get fertilized afterwards or whatever. There's some references. Maybe.
You think we're going to see some dragon fucking is what I'm trying to say? No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to see that.
I just I'm not going to say I don't want to see it.
Okay, I think I kind of want to see it, but oh my god. Can you imagine the shit talking on Twitter if they show dragons fucking? Because there are people already just shitting on, people who not even watched this episode just shitting on it because D&D fucked up so bad, I cannot imagine if they put some dragon fucking on this show. As long as it's respectful and not gratuitous, I don't think we should complain. But like, if it's just Syrax walking through a room, what's his name? Syrax? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If he's just walking in the room and in the background there's like 3 or 4 dragons fucking for no reason, I'm gonna be mad. Because that's just gratuitous. There's just dragons fucking around the pit for no reason. I'm gonna be real shitty about that.
Dragon balls.
Dany, shut up! She called him Damon Wayans, but you know what? That's appropriate because I feel like there probably are about as many Wayans as there are Targaryens. There's a whole lot of them. All right. I like how sassy she is. She's talking about Rhaenyra. But I know not to get attached to any characters, so we'll see. She better not go nowhere. I really love seeing the dragons landing in the pit. It was almost like an airport. See y'all next week. Yeah, it was. The pit was very exciting to see, especially seeing like the trainers, and you could see like the more experienced trainers kind of still training the new guys, and what to say and how to approach them, and hearing those Valyrian commands. I don't know. I thought that was cool. Right. Kimberly. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I just want to jump back because I quickly Googled this just to make sure, and this is not a spoiler because it was actually covered in Game of Thrones, but the Valyrians are on Driftmark, and when Stannis calls his banners, one of the Valyrians comes to answer for him. So there we go.
Okay. So they went home. They were like, fuck this. Okay.
They did. They were like, we're staying out of y'all's business.
Right. Okay. Hello, this is Kimberly H. So she says, hello, other Kimberly here. All I want to say is I'm so excited to hear y'all talk about this for the next 10 weeks. Yay. All the good and beautiful things to both of you lovely ladies. Bye. Bye, Kimberly. Thank you.
I can.
And then finally, Devin.
Hey, boo.
We saved the best for last, Devin. Devin says, hey, boos. It's so great to be back in Westeros. I missed it more than Viserys wanting a child with a penis. First things first, I can't wait to hear Nina recite all the new Valyrian we got in this episode. I only remember one word, and I don't know if it means like to go forward, because I feel like he says something like desot or deot, and I thought this spelling was interesting. I feel like it was like DEAJOT or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's the only word I remember, and then like I know that the other guy said other words, but I wasn't really like paying attention. And the Valyrian that they spoke together, Daemon and Rhaenyra, I was just so happy to hear it. I was just focusing on what they were saying and trying to figure out this new relationship that I didn't even bother to memorize it. But let me get some
I did hear one of them say Jaehaerys.
Yes, I was just going to say, I remember that. Yes, that was one of the first ones they said when he landed in the dragon pit. That's right.
And that's basically like, listen to me.
Yeah. Hey, you.
Right.
Yo. I feel like, though, we're obviously going to get a lot, especially because now we have all these dragons and stuff. And I'm looking forward to Rhaenyra having a Daenerys moment. Especially against that bitch. The green banner bitch. I'm sorry. He says, hey, Sarah. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I skipped a paragraph. Hey, Sarah. Love you, and I still give you permission to say nigga. He really trying to...
You too.
He's just so bad. He's so bad. I also need to hear your thoughts on Daemon. Is he a lovable asshole or a complete dick? And should I hate him with every fiber of my being? I love him, but I'm going to let Sarah answer.
I love him too, but I love Loki. So I feel like he's a very similar character.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and that's great because it's not like... I like that because, again, I'm happy he's not like Joffrey. And I bring that up, like, there are not a lot of characters like Joffrey or even Ramsay. I know those are, like, so horrifically bad characters, right? Bad people.
Yeah.
But I really just thought he was going to be our Joffrey and that we were just supposed to not like him and he's going to do terrible things. And he is. Like, he's a fucking cop and he went out there fucking with them poor people and doing that shit. Right. But I don't... That's not, like... I mean, that's just, like, a step above... killing all them babies. That Joffrey.
I feel, I mean, the showrunners were careful to say that Daemon is not a monster.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So we don't have to worry about it going there. You know, he's not a perfect person. You know, that the time for those people have passed. You know, Jaehaerys and his good queen Alicent are dead, and they were, you know, the ideal king
and this
and
is
queen
why
of
we're
summer.
going to get all the conflict and shit that we're about to get, because it is a bunch of, you know, people
This
who
is the
are,
ideal time to move in and see.
Right.
Last
thing I love, the nigger on. I don't even know how I'm supposed to say this. So it's always saying Targaryen. Nigerian? Nigerian! There you go. Because you say Nigerian, it's too much like the hard ER one. We don't want to say that. Nigerian. There we go. Last thing is, I love the Nigerian Corlys and his family. I'm ready to see more of him and Rhaenys talk shit about everyone. Oh my God. I feel like I just want a whole episode or at least another scene of them just sitting around drinking and just talking about these white people. Please.
Right. Just follow them around all day through the Red Keep.
And they seem like they have a good relationship. I know we haven't seen a lot of it, but like they haven't shown me anything to think that this is like one of those problematic marriages. The daughter's super cute. Oh my God. They're gonna. Oh God. I hope those kids survive. Because I know like we're gonna get a time jump, so that's gonna be interesting to see what these people look like. Assuming these characters are all alive by the time jump, which I'm assuming maybe the king won't be. Is that monkeypox gonna go? No, I'm sorry. I said I wouldn't make another monkeypox joke. Okay. P.S. Is Rhaenyra gonna fuck everyone? What is that supposed to mean? Oh my God. She
has needs. Okay.
But everyone? What are we doing? She exudes, I'm here to fuck. She does? Well, yeah.
She's a dragon lord.
Well, you know what? She exudes, I'm here to fuck. From Alicent to Daemon to Kristen. You know what, Devin? I don't see the lie. Because I had thoughts about her with all three of them, so.
I mean, at this moment, you know, like, I mean, she's 15, you know, and she's kind of like, I mean, she's sparky. She's sparking with everyone. You know? And like right now, that might not mean anything, you know, but in the time jump, it might.
Yeah. That's true. And then he finishes with saying, thanks, can't wait to hear the pod. That's all the feedback we got. This has been over 2 hours. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I knew it would be because it was just like a lot of history, a lot of shit to get through. And
it had to be. Well, next time we'll have all the history laid out.
Yeah, we always just talk about what happened in Sunday's episode. And then make predictions on how Allison is going to be the worst. That's what I think is going to happen. Because that bitch, oh my God. I know the actress that is cast to play her, and I know her from the older version of her, Bates Motel. And so I'm really curious because I've not seen her in any... No, I think I might have seen her in one other thing, but I don't really remember what that was. But this will be, you know, the most I've seen of her after Bates Motel. So I'm real curious to see if I'm right, especially if I think the characters kind of be like kind of Cersei-esque, seeing her play something like that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Although, like, I feel like they could do and one last thing and then we'll wrap it up. I feel like they could do a thing where, if I'm right, if she has a child with the king, then, I mean, it does have a claim too. So I could see where people are like torn, like there are no bad guys here because she just wants what's, you know, right for her child, the way Rhaenyra just wants what was promised to her. I don't know. But I could see them maybe trying to be a bit more, where like with Game of Thrones, I feel like it was always very, like, why would you ever be on Cersei's side? You know, like, why would you ever be on Bruce Bolton's side? Why would you ever, you know, but here I wonder if they're going to go for a bit more complicated, you know, in picking sides.
Right.
I don't know. But to me, it's more fun if I can just hate this bitch with her green banners.
I mean, you always can.
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's true. I don't have to explain my decisions. I can just hate her. So, okay, that is it. Thank you, Sarah, so much for joining me and sitting here for 2 hours and talking about this. We'll be back next week. And I had just been recording because our previous Sunday night show is Westworld, and Dany was on that podcast and his work schedule, blah, blah, blah. We were doing that on Tuesday nights. So I just kind of assumed we would do this on Tuesdays, but honestly, I am open to, you know, whenever you can record. This type of show, I probably wouldn't want to do a Monday night because I like to watch it a couple of times.
Sure. Yeah.
And take my notes. Yeah, just have that kind of little breather. So, but yeah, from any day, you know, from Tuesday on in the week, whenever, so I'm really saying this for you to understand, like, I can work around your schedule and for the listeners to know that you have at least till Tuesday to get your feedback in, but the release day may change. And when I know for sure, always go to projectfandom.com, check the schedule to see when things are going to be published. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who sent in feedback. I'm so happy the show is good. We will see you next Sunday.